Hokage Unlimited enhancement every 60 days. Chapter 81-100. 081. Is Sakura so strong? Lei Ying had already rushed up, and Long Yi's face sank as he approached him without hesitation. Bang! The next moment, Raikage's fist and Long Yi's forearm collided heavily, making a dull loud noise. But at this time, the two were stalemate, and neither one took advantage. Stop it! It actually blocked Raikage's fist. Seeing this scene, everyone present changed their expressions and looked at Long Yi with surprise. This little-known little girl actually took a punch from Lei Ying. Some people who don't know Lei Ying's details are fine, but people such as Tu Ying know that Union Village has always been respected for strength, and Lei Ying is their village the strongest among them. Moreover, under the influence of his ancestors, Raikage is good at ninjutsu, and his physique is comparable to that of a monster. Even if he didn't do his best just now, he was already very strong after being taken over so easily. Sakura is making great progress. On the other side, Temari and Kankuro were shocked and intentionally surprised, but they didn't expect that in only 2 or 3 years, Sakura has become so strong. This kid. Tsunade smiled, thinking that anyway, Xiaoying is her disciple, so let Long also help her make a name for herself. Although the dragon did not use skills, did not activate the blood flow, or enter the fairy mode. But through the years of practice, his physique has become extremely strong. After all, with the heart of a tailed beast, and 700 million giant lungs, his innate conditions are far superior to ordinary people. The copyright of the novel resource belongs to the original author. The text is only for personal study and trial reading. Please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. Please support subscribing to genuine novels and refuse piracy. This way, this can take Raikage's punch. But I have to say, Rain is worthy of being the representative of the reckless man. This punch is really heavy. Hehe, Uchiha's mistress, she really has 2 strokes. Although this punch only used 30% of the force, but it was received unexpectedly, Raikage was also surprised, and he couldn't help but re-examine the girl in front of him. Dignified Lei Ying, a mistress with 1 mouthful, is too unqualified, and the dragon's face can't help but become more and more gloomy. Then next, taste my fist of 10% strength. And at this time, Raikage roared loudly and punched him again. The dragon's expression remained the same, and the same punch came to meet him. Boom! The next moment, the 2 fists collided, and only a loud noise was heard, and Raikage was blasted out. This is it. Raikage was actually knocked flying, and everyone's face changed drastically again. The strange force, it turns out to be Tsunade Haim's disciple. But then, in the flying dust, Raikage walked out unscathed and looked at Long Yi with a gloomy expression. At this time, Raikage flashed all over his body, and the thunder attribute chakra of the package was almost visible to the naked eye. This is Raikage's ability, wrapping lightning around his body, activating his body, a ninjutsu called Lightning Chakra Mode. Lord Hokage. I used the strange power just now, and I was caught off guard against Raikage. But at this time, the real action is probably not so simple. Long also had a serious expression and said something to Tsunade. Please stand back. I'll leave it to you next, Sakura-chan. Tsunade smiled, said something deliberately, and then jumped to the 2nd floor. Raikage was already angry, and the others did not dare to jump up to the 2nd floor. Immediately afterwards, the 4 shadows, the leader of the Iron Country, Mifune, and theirs, all stared at the battle below, the Konoha ninja and Raikage. Boom! After clearing the field, without caring about it, the thunder struck, and the bluestone ground was instantly shattered, and then rushed towards Long Yi like a lightning bolt. The thunder chakra surrounding the body can not only increase the attack power, use it for defense, but also increase the speed of nerve conduction. The more Lei-dun chakras, the faster the speed. The whole person is like blue lightning, and the speed is even comparable to the 4 generations of Hokage known as the Golden Flash. But obviously, Raikage did not want to win with speed, still go straight to the dragon. Sakura rush. This is still thinking about BB. Strength, the dragon's face sank, and the whole body of chakra gathered into fists and directly greeted him. Boom. The next moment, the two fists collided, and a loud roar sounded again. And the huge impact, like a hurricane, instantly lifted the conference table and swept the conference room on the first floor. This is. When the dust passed, everyone hurried to look again. I saw that in the middle of the venue, Longyi and Reikage collided with their fists, and neither was able to beat the other back. So-called Sakura rush is the same as painful foot. It is a kind of use of strange power, but the chakra is concentrated in different parts. Although it is only a level skill, the power is also very different depending on the user. The number of Longyi chakra is extremely large, and after focusing a little and releasing it, its power is terrifying. It was precisely because of this that he could resist Reikage's punch. Uchiha's little mistress, be careful next time. Lei Ying looked at Longyi and said lightly. Bang! The next moment, the chakra concentration in the whole body more than doubled in an instant. Obviously, before this, Reikage hadn't used all his strength. After all, even if he gets angry again, the opposite is just a Konoha junior. But after this blow, he had already recognized the strength of this junior, so he put away his contempt and showed his true strength. My mistress, your sister. The dragon also became more and more annoyed, and kicked it directly. Whoosh! But at the next moment, Reikage's figure flickered, leaving only an electric light on the spot, and his figure disappeared instantly. This is. At this time, the people around the audience, whether they are shadows or guards, are all top-notch. But Reikage's speed was so fast that they couldn't even see clearly. Blind eyes. Terumi Mei's guard Ching even opened his eyes. At this time, Longyi, who was off the field, also frowned, as expected of Lei Shun's body that was comparable to the golden flash. His eyes couldn't keep up. Simply give up the vision, and use the oral defense instead. Uchiha's mistress, take my punch. The next moment, with a loud shout, Reikage appeared behind Longyi, and just punched him. Boom! Then there was a loud noise, and a huge deep pit was smashed into the ground of the venue. But the good news is that it didn't hit the dragon. Tracking Reikage's movements with his ears, he was able to escape. Whoosh! After missing a punch, Lei Ying flashed an electric light and rushed towards Longyi again. Boom! The next moment, wherever Reikage went, it was a loud roar. The originally neat and solemn conference room quickly became riddled with holes. Reikage's speed is too fast, and the dragon can only dodge by prejudging, and occasionally retaliate with a punch. What a horrible Reikage! Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. This is simply a humanoid monster. You must know that when Reikage was young, he once cut off the horns of the 8 tails with one hand, and the humanoid monster really deserved its name. This Konoha girl. At the same time, everyone couldn't help but admire Ryuya, who was still entangled with Reikage under such circumstances. Sakura has become. Is it that strong? Temari and Kankuro, who knew Sakura better, were completely dumbfounded. Sakura must have become too strong, right? Boom! Then, there was another loud noise, and from the dust, the dragon jumped out again. Phew, phew. Again at this time, Long was also panting heavily, his face dignified. Can't you do it? That's Reikage after all. It's not easy to do that. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but talk for a while, thinking that Sakura could no longer hold on. Meantime, no compliments are stingy for the little girl. Looks like it won't work. Took a deep breath, regained his breath, and frowned slightly. Then his face sank and he drank softly. Blood. Phailu reminds you. 3 things to read. 082. It's Takagi Ryuya. Chi and blood flow. With the help of the 700 million giant lungs, a large amount of oxygen is instantly inhaled. thereby stimulating the physical activity, and the physical attributes are instantly increased by 5 times. Whoosh! So fast. Seeing the afterimage on the spot, the audience was once again shocked. Boom! And then, with a loud bang, Long also fought Reikage again. Just turning on the chi and blood flow, the dragon is not enough to defeat the Reikage in the Lei-Dun chakra mode, but finally has the strength to compete with him. Bang bang bang. The next moment, I saw 2 figures entangled together, that is. A dense loud noise, just like countless muffled thunder rolling. Rinse, rinse. And under the impact of the energy generated by the collision between the two, the huge and sturdy venue could not help but tremble and dust constantly fell. Is this going to demolish this place? Reikage's guard Darui couldn't help sighing, as if he had seen countless scenes similar to what happened in Union Village before. Reflow burst. And at this moment, amidst the dense collision, a roar of Reikage suddenly sounded. The next moment, I saw that he wrapped a large number of Lei-Dun Chakra's fists and punched directly to Long Yi's chin. Whoosh! At this critical moment, the dragon also flickered and disappeared from the spot in an instant. Boom! Reikage's emptied fist, wrapped around the airflow, formed a powerful air cannon. Then, with a loud noise, a huge hole was hit in the ceiling of the venue. Sure enough. Darui shook his head, looking like he had known this before. This place can't escape the fate of being destroyed. Quote. At this time, the others were all dumbfounded. Just by stirring the air with strength, you can blast through the roof. What kind of power is this? Where are you going? And at this time, Reikage, who missed the punch, didn't want to do anything other than fighting, roared, and then turned into a blue electric light, and went straight to the dodging dragon. So fast. At this time, everyone suddenly discovered that compared to before, Reikage's speed has become faster. Entering full power mode. Seeing this scene, even Darui, who has been lazy, widened his eyes instantly. This kind of speed shows that Reikage has done his best. A mere little girl of Konoha can make Reikage do her best. I can't believe it. Oops. And at this time, Long Yi, looking at Reikage, who was approaching fiercely and as fast as lightning, couldn't help but frown. Whoosh! At this time, Reikage punched, and with a flash, he used the avatar technique to dodge again. After all, it is comparable to the speed of Golden Flash, in this case. There is no way to keep the strength anymore. The enhanced version of the double is fully activated. Whoosh! 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 The next moment, I saw the dragon also flashing on the field. And Reikage is like a blue lightning, constantly chasing the figure of Ryuya. This is. Seeing this scene, everyone at the scene was dumbfounded. What kind of terrifying speed is this? Flying Thunder God. This teleportation ninjutsu, everyone can't help but think of the famous ninjutsu of the 4 generations of Hokage in the 3 wars. It is too unbelievable that a mere little girl of Konoha can master this space ninjutsu. No, it seems like. At the same time, if you look closely, someone such as Mizukage Terumi can't help but see that it seems to be somewhat different from Fei Lei Shen. Haha, what a girl. The battlefield, Reikage, who turned into thunder, suddenly laughed happily. Such a speed reminds me of the Golden Flash on the battlefield back then, and only the Golden Flash can compete with the old man in speed. The 3rd Ninja War that year, the 4 generations of Hokage really fought against Reikage. In addition to Reikage, there was Kurabi at the time, and in the end no one could do anything about it. At this time, in Long Yi's flash and teleportation, Reikage seemed to have found the blood on the battlefield again. Trouble. Lei Ying's side was getting through soon, but Long Yi couldn't help frowning. After all, he is not here to fight Reikage. Besides, they are not enemies either, and even if Reikage gets down, it won't do him any good. Ryuya, who gradually calmed down, already wanted to end this meaningless battle. But looking at Reikage again, he looks like an addicted fighting maniac. If you don't get down on him, I'm afraid it won't be finished. What is this called? Long Yi frowned again. This was broken with bare hands. A madman with 8 tails and 1 horn, who wanted to get down on him, he and Yi. Water escape. Water array. And at this moment, a light drink suddenly sounded from above, and then, a meteor-like water polo suddenly fell. Boom, boom. After the water droplets hit the ground, they burst open, and a large amount of water flows around to spread the impact. The entire venue was instantly engulfed by the flood. Water shadow. A blue electric light fell on the dissipating water. Reikage looked at Terumi-mei, who had jumped off the stage, and roared with anger. What do you want to do? Quote. Others are also at a loss. Reikage and Konoha ninja fight. What is Gamuin doing? Terumi-mei's face was particularly gloomy. She looked at Ryuya, who had also stopped, and gritted her teeth and said 2 words. Vengeance. Revenge. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, and couldn't help but become more and more puzzled. Dang Shuiying, a little aunt of Konoha, could have any grudges, but looking at Mei-mei's appearance, it was more than hatred, it was simply a deep hatred that was never shared. Immediately afterwards, everyone turned to look at Tsunade and Kurigakura's guards. Ao and Chojuro of Kurikan were also at a loss. As for Tsunade, they directly spread their hands, indicating that she didn't know anything. What did this kid do? In fact, Tsunade was pondering, what exactly did Ryuya do to Mizuyage, to annoy her to such an extent? Of course Tsunade knew that it was impossible for Sakura to do this, and he didn't have the ability. At the same time, there was a smile on the corner of his mouth again, and he thought that it was no wonder that the dragon also used the transformation technique. It's over. At this time, looking at Terumi-mei's appearance, Long's heart was instantly ashes. Obviously, his identity has been discovered. Isn't that right, Konoha's seal ninja, a double dragon too? At this time, Terumi-mei looked at Ryuya and said again. Sure enough, she had already seen the identity of Ryuya. Stupid dragon. Hearing this, everyone's faces were full of surprise again, and then they all looked at Long Yi. Okay. Now that it has been exposed, there is no need to hide it. Pung. With a muffled sound, the dragon also released the transformation technique and changed back to its original appearance. This is. Seeing the changed dragon, everyone was shocked again. It's really Takagi Ryuya. 083. The Great Tengu God's appearance. No wonder. When they saw that it was Long Yi, everyone looked like this. Although Long Yi is only 16 years old, but his successive big moves have made the name of standalone Long Yi, the sealed ninja, already resounding throughout the ninja world. As an imaginary enemy, the information about Long Yi, from his abilities, ninjutsu, tactical habits, to his childhood to adult experiences, hobbies, and various villages have detailed records and analysis, enough to fill half a room. Even, some villages specially set up the Takagi Ryuya research group, to analyze and study him. Since it's Takagi Ryuya, it's no wonder that he can fight Reikage so hard. Sure enough, it's a strange kid. Looking at Long Yi, Tu Ying couldn't help pondering. According to the data, Long Yi often has abilities beyond common sense. Today, I have seen it with my own eyes. In addition to a large-scale avatar technique, drawing a sword and slashing with energy, another transformation technique appeared today. In the state of transformation, there is no delay in performing ninjutsu at all. There are many people who think the same as Toying. Some people are already thinking about how to prevent dragons from infiltrating their village in the face of this transformation. It's really you. Compared to the others, Terumi-mei, who looked at Ryuya with fire-breathing eyes, didn't think so much at all. She has only one thought right now, teach this kid a good lesson and take revenge for Chrysanthemum. As I said before, there are information about Ryuya in every village in every country, and naturally it also includes Wuin. In the woods before, after Terumi-mei was bombed, she calmly analyzed it. Although the dragon did not wear a forehead guard, and only performed the avatar technique and the Millennium Kill once, Terumi-mei quickly thought of him. After all, these two ninjutsu are too special. Moreover, judging from the route at the time, it is very likely that you will encounter a team that Konoha is heading to the conference, and there is likely to be Takagi Ryuya in the Konoha team. But without seeing Long Yi, the portrait in the original document just glanced at it, all this is just speculation. When they arrived at the venue, Terumi paid special attention to Konoha's team, and found that there were three women, so she didn't think about it any further. Until the dragon also fought with Reikage, he was forced to use the substitute technique frequently. Did Terumi find out that this cute, Sakura-chan, was a dragon in disguise? That's why she attacked. At this time, the dragon also appeared on the body, which also proved that she was right. Damn. Seeing Long Yi again, although it was a few days later, there seemed to be a dull pain there. Terumi may ever suffer such a humiliating shame, and with a face full of resentment, she was about to rush to Ryuya. The old man is still here. Boom. At this moment, Reikage suddenly roared, and then his fist slammed on the ground, and with a loud noise, a powerful airflow swayed around. Water shadow. Reikage glared at Terumi and said in a deep voice. You are not allowed to meddle in my fight. The devil wants to interfere in your battle. Terumi will never back down when it comes to fighting the dragon. He is mine. Bullshit. You're just talking nonsense. Water shadow. Reikage. Want to fight? Come on. Who's afraid of who? I'll pack you two together. Damn. The next moment, Reikage and Mizukage quarreled first. Quote. Seeing this scene, the corners of everyone's mouth twitched, all with embarrassment. What kind of plot development is this? I can't understand it at all. It seems like two people are arguing and jealous. At this time, Iway and Haitu, who has been watching the fun all the time, said something with a smile. Nima. Of competition, Long Yi was already embarrassed enough. Haitu's words instantly drove him completely mad and roared angrily. Enough for the two of you. Startled by Long Yi's voice, Reikage and Tsukage couldn't help but stop and turn to look at Long Yi. Boy, don't be too arrogant. The two hummed softly, and then sneered again, as if they were eating Ding Long Yi. The kingdom of the heavens. The great Tengu is coming. Immediately afterwards, I saw that the dragon also quickly made a few seals, and then there was a loud shout. Boom! With a loud bang, the dragon also instantly turned into a monster with a height of 10,000 feet, wings on its back, a ferocious face, a mouth full of fangs, and a long nose. It is the legendary, extremely terrifying monster, the Great Tengu. Due to his huge size, his body had already crossed the roof of the conference room and was straight into the sky. Ryuya lowered his head slightly at this time, looking at Reikage and Terumi, who were not as tall as his feet, and questioned in a muffled voice. Enough is enough. Reikage, who was still fierce just now, and Tsukage who was angry, were instantly stunned when they saw Ryuya incarnated as a god. At this time, the expressions of the other people present, including Tsunade who knew Ryuya best, all changed greatly, and their faces were full of horror. Such a huge body, even far more than the tailed beast. No matter how strong their ninjutsu is, they can only hurt their toes. Lifts his feet, it is enough to destroy them all. The incarnation of such a terrifying existence also ninjutsu. The ninjutsu that can transform into a big Tengu can be called shocking. With such strength, who can destroy the country by one person, who dares to rival it? What if the body is bigger? My anger will not disappear because of fear. At this moment, Reikage and Terumi spoke one after another. Then they looked at Long Yi together and shouted in unison. Come on. Long Yi, who had just put on his feet, almost stumbled and fell when he heard this. What kind of magic is he, or a transformation? The series of knot seals just now hid the seals of the transformation technique inside. As for the Da Tiango Shenlin, he also shouted blindly. It's just the ability of a good size, deliberately becoming such a terrifying figure, trying to scare the two shadows. But I didn't expect that these are two Tai Han Han, so don't be afraid. Long Yi's transformation technique is like a paper tiger. Fuck. Long was also secretly anxious, originally trying to calm down the scene, but now it will be more difficult to end it. What an astonishing physique. And at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. However, it should be just a bluffing transformation technique. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but startled, and then subconsciously looked at the sound. And seeing this, everyone frowned. Which has been familiar to all villages, is organized by Xiao. Filu reminds you, 3 things to read. 084. Obito declares war on the world. Beware. Reikage let out an angry roar, and then rushed up. Hula, but he punched directly through the opponent's body without causing any damage. Your technique is useless to me. The other party's indifferent voice sounded, and at the same time, a bright red eye with a guyu appeared in the wood-grained monocular mask. It was the Sharingan. Seeing this eye, everyone's expressions changed, Uchiha. And, judging from the situation that Reikage passed through just now, the other party may have the most difficult space ninjutsu. For a time, everyone dared not act rashly, even if it was to expose the hot-tempered Reikage. With soil. Compared with other people, Long Yi, who is a traveler, knows more about the people who come. Then released the transformation technique, returned to Tsunade, and, together with everyone, commented on Obito vigilantly. It really is a transformation technique. Obito glanced at Longya, then turned to the crowd. Introduce myself, I'm Madara Uchiha. Uchiha, Madara. Hearing this, everyone's complexion changed greatly again, as if they were facing a great enemy. Present were all high-level villagers, and even some young people had at least heard of Madara Uchiha's name. If this person is really Uchiha Madara, he is definitely a terrifying existence. At the same time, everyone can't help but wonder, if Madara is alive now, how old is it? Is it really an immortal monster? You don't have to worry. Voice was still steady too. The crowd's reaction. After years of erosion, I have only an empty shell left, and I have long lost my original strength. There's only one empty shell left. Hearing this, everyone frowned again, and their hearts became more and more suspicious. If the other party is not Madara, and just wants to use Madara's prestige, then why tell everyone that he has lost his power? Could it be that this person is really Uchiha Madara? But if so, what is his purpose? What is he going to do? At this time, like everyone else, even Long Yi, the transmigrator, was a little confused. In the original, Sasuke attacked the venue and was seriously injured by Reikage. Obito showed up to rescue him. Then, he told Wang about his Moon Eye plan, and after the request for the tail beast was rejected, Obito declared war on the world on the spot. But now, the actual situation is different. In the original work, Obito had already caught 1 to 7 tails, leaving only 8 and 9 tails. It was with the power of these 7-tailed beasts that he had such confidence. And in this world, because of the existence of the dragon, Obito controls at most 1 tail, 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, a total of 4-tailed beasts. 4 to 5, Obito's courage. I'm here to discuss something with you. What's the matter? World peace. At this time, Obito spoke again, and what he said was almost the same as in the original. From the origin of the tailed beast to the moon stroke, it is described in detail. As the 5 shadows, it is your responsibility to maintain world peace. After speaking, Obito looked at the crowd and said seriously. So, hand over the remaining 5-tailed beasts. Let me be the 10-tailed Manzuli, open the infinite moon reading, and bring the world into eternal peace. Don't think about it. I won't give the world to someone like you. The crowd was angry, and naturally it was impossible to agree. After all, it was a tailed beast. How could it be possible to send him casually with just a few words from Obito? Moreover, they are 5 shadows, not children, so easy to coax. Okay. Of the crowd was originally expected by Obito, then he got up and said solemnly. Then I solemnly announce that the 4th Ninja World War begins. What? The 4th time? Ninja World War. Hearing this, everyone, be it the guards or the 5 shadows, all changed their expressions. Omen in the horror of everyone, Obito activated his ability, teleported directly from the spot and disappeared. Quote. Looking at Obito who left, even Long Yi, the transmigrator, was once again dumbfounded. Obito Barabara said a lot, and he really came to declare war. But according to Long Yi's analysis, only Obito, the 4-tailed beast, has no capital to declare war at all. The dog jumps over the wall. Long was also stunned and couldn't help thinking. In fact, even if in the original book, rational analysis, only having 7-tailed beasts and Obito of 100,000 Baiju army is not enough to compete with the entire ninja world. Or later by mistake, cooperate with Do, and get a powerful army of reincarnation. Obito declared war because the plan was disrupted one after another, and there was no way to do it. Is this the case at this time? But it is too reluctant. Orochimaru. Of Orochimaru since the destruction of Yinin village. Long couldn't help but wonder if it was Orochimaru, who had reincarnated a filthy army and cooperated with Obito, but this conjecture had no basis and was unreliable. Strange. In short, Obito's behavior this time is really difficult to explain. The dragon also vaguely felt that it was not so simple. At this time, the 5 shadows had already sat together again. Before that, the 5 Shadows Conference was actually Raikage's denunciation conference for other hidden villages. But at this time, Obito suddenly appeared, making everyone have a common enemy. Everyone unanimously decided to form a coalition to deal with Shao together. It seems that Bai has not fallen into their hands. Damn Bai, where did he run to? According to Obito, after confirming that Yao had escaped, Raikage was relieved, but also angry. At the same time, the focus of everyone's discussion is also around the tail beast. After all, this war is the battle of the tailed beasts. And once the tailed beasts are all taken away by Akatsuki, and the infinite monthly reading is really opened, the whole world will be over. You must find Bai immediately. There's also the missing 2-tailed man Jiryuki. Since the death of the previous generation Zuli, the village of Kurikan has lost its 3 tails. It should be in a wild state now, and we will try our best to find it. 9 tails are still there. Konoha, I will never let Akatsuki take him away. Iwagakushi has lost all the tailed beasts, but we can help Taki Ninja Village and protect Nanao. Analyzing the tailed beasts that are not in Shao's hands at this time, but how do they know that, in fact, 2, 3, and 7 tails are already in Long Yi's hands? Now that the battle for the tailed beasts has begun, Long also can't help thinking, and when the 5 Shadows Conference is over, he will go to Shangrin and the others immediately. I do have a suggestion. At this time, Kazuki Gaara, who had been silent for a while, spoke up. Leaving the tailed beast in each village is undoubtedly in front of Akatsuki. And scattered everywhere, it is inconvenient to protect. You mean, find a hidden place, gather all the tailed beasts, and protect them together. So, everyone's expressions were serious, and they couldn't help but ponder for a while. 085. Killing 3 generations, Sasuke completely blackened. After a day of discussions, the 5 Shadows Conference ended. This time, initiated by Raikage, it was originally a meeting to question the other 4 villages. Because of Obito's sudden declaration of war, it finally became an opportunity to form a ninja coalition. Meeting decided that the leader of this coalition was the then 5 Shadows. Supreme Commander, Raikage I of the 4th generation. Chief of Staff, Naruto Tsunade of the 5th generation. Captain of the coalition, Kazekage of the 5th generation, Gaara. And the focus of the meeting, the tail beast, also made the final decision after some debate. Leian village will choose the location, protect it centrally, and will not participate in the war for the time being. The enemy has declared war. We can no longer drag and drop. After the meeting, the 5 shadows and their guards immediately returned to the villages to make deployment arrangements. 2 hours after the departure, Ryu and the others on the way, but first received a message from the ninja in Konoha village. Quote. After reading the information, Tsunade's face changed greatly, and he stood there. What happened? Long also frowned and asked. Tsunade didn't say a word, and handed the information directly to Ryuya. What? Seeing the above content, Long also changed his face instantly. Yesterday, Uchiha Sasuke invaded Konoha and killed the 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Hizen, Anbushi Mura Danzo, Advisor Mito Tomono, Advisor transferred to Kaharu, 4 senior Konoha executives. The news was so shocking that the senior executives of Konoha's older generation were actually slaughtered by Sasuke overnight. It wasn't until after a long while that Long Yi came back to his senses, his face particularly solemn. Sasuke's actions are clearly out of revenge. As guessed before, Obito has already told Sasuke the truth about Itachi and Uchiha's genocide. In fact, it was precisely because he was worried about Sasuke's revenge that Ryu also accompanied Tsunade to the 5 Shadows conference. But from the beginning to the end of the meeting, Sasuke was not seen. Damn. Before the dragon was still there. Doubt why the plot changed. It wasn't until now that I saw this piece of information that I suddenly remembered that the plot had not changed at all, it was his negligence. In fact, in the original book, after Sasuke learned the truth, he immediately went to Konoha to take revenge by Obito and brought to the 5 Shadows venue. Because the Konoha at that time has been destroyed by pain, and the high-level executive who gave Itachi the genocide order, the 3 generations of Hokage had already been killed by Orochimaru, and Danzo was at the 5 Shadows conference. But in this world, because of the existence of Ryuya, the 3 generations of Hokage have not died, Konoha has not been destroyed, and Danzo has not become Hokage. Therefore, Sasuke, who wants to take revenge, will naturally not change his plan and go to Konoha. It's my fault. Thinking of this, Long couldn't help but blame himself for a while, and thought of it, so that he can take precautions. The Uchiha annihilation incident, Ryu also acted as a bystander, thinking that there was no right or wrong, just a different position. But he crossed into this world and got along with the people here. The 3 generations of Hokage accepted him as a disciple, helped him repair his meridians, and instructed ninjutsu. How could he not have feelings? At this time, the 3 generations of Hokage were killed, and there was a burst of grief in my heart. The most important thing is that he could have avoided all this, but neglected. Troublesome. In addition to sadness and self-blame, this incident is accompanied by a huge hidden danger. Killing the 4 high-level officials of Konoha, Sasuke must be tolerated by the country of fire and other countries. In this way, Sasuke, who can only go one way to the black, must be completely blackened. You must know that Sasuke is the reincarnation of Indra Chakra, and he who is completely blackened can no longer stand on the side of the coalition forces like the original. In case Kagaya Otsutsuki is really resurrected, Naruto, who was reincarnated by Ashura Chakra alone, cannot seal it. At that time, the whole world will really be finished. As for the dragon, even if it is a traveler, even if he has the enhanced version of the 4-image seal that seals everything, he will not have much chance of winning against Kagaya Otsutsuki, the creator of this world. Speed up. Just as Long was frowning, Tsunade regained his senses, drank it lightly, and rushed back to Konoha as quickly as possible. Is also a disciple of the 3 generations of Hokage, but her relationship with the 3 generations is far from comparable to that of the dragon. But Tsunade at this time did not have the slightest sadness on his face, only firmness. As Hokage, she is well aware of her heavy responsibility, and at this time, the less she can't be affected by her feelings. After returning to the village, immediately control Naruto. While speeding up, Tsunade said something. Long also nodded secretly, and couldn't help admiring Tsunade's calmness. With the bond between Naruto and Sasuke, as well as his impulsive character, knowing that Sasuke committed such a heinous crime, he will inevitably get out of control. It is very likely to leave Konoha directly and go after Sasuke. In this way, I am afraid that I will fall into the Obito trap. Once Naruto is caught, the Nine Tails is taken away, and Ashura Chakra is reincarnated and died, then I am afraid that there is no way to play at all. After controlling it, take it to Union immediately and let Raikage hide him. Tsunade's face was gloomy, and he said another sentence. Hide. Long Yi was stunned for a moment, suddenly remembering the plot of the original book, and his expression changed instantly. After thinking for a while, he hurriedly said to Tsunade. There are many unreasonable places in Uchiha Madara's declaration of war. Could this be a conspiracy? Conspiracy. Yes, conspiracy. Long also had a serious expression and continued. At this moment, Madara, what I want most is a tailed beast. Reason why he declared war is that he wants us to help him find the tailed beast. So. Tsunade frowned, thinking for a while. There is indeed such a possibility, and I will notify other actors to pay attention. But even so, Renzuli still has to be protected. We can only strengthen the secrecy work in the guard force. In this case, I recommend Teacher Akai as one of the guards. Well, Akai is really reliable. Tsunade nodded and said nothing. Seeing Tsunade agree, Long also breathed a sigh of relief. If it is the same as the original book, Obito will play with the first-hand darkness Chinkang, and let the dried persimmon ghost shark sneak in and explore the location of Renzuli. Akai, who has 8 armors and is good at physique, is just right to restrain the ghost shark. Even if it is not a ghost shark, it is someone else, with the strength of Kaihuang, it should be enough to deal with it. Master Tsunade, I want to ask you for a leave. After pondering for a moment, Long also suddenly said something. To this battle is the tailed beast. While protecting the 8 and 9 tails in the 5 villages, the dragon must also firmly control the 2, 3, and 7 tails in his hands. Therefore, it is imperative that he joins with Shangrin and the others. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 086. 3 girls who make people headache. What did you say? At this critical moment, as Konoha's top combat power, Ryuya had to ask for leave, but looking at Ryuya again, his expression was extremely determined. Tsunade frowned, and finally nodded. In case of emergency, get in touch with Slug. Good. Long didn't say much, just changed direction and went straight to Tangnin village where Shangrin and the others were. In a hurry, the dragon also used the double technique constantly. Finally here before it got dark. Over there. Tangren village was not very big, and after arriving, Long also directly covered it with radar ears, and quickly found Shangrin and the others. Sounded that the 3 of them were quite happy, and Long couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. A small courtyard, the door of the courtyard was closed, and the 3 of them were inside. Long pushed it too, but the door didn't open, it should have been locked from the inside. He didn't bother to call the door, so he jumped over the wall and jumped in. Ah. Who? Go to hell. This has just landed, and who knows it is. A burst of screams. Immediately afterwards, a huge tail covered with thorns swept over. Bang! The next moment, as the tail swept past, with a loud bang, half of the courtyard wall of the small courtyard was directly smashed to pieces. It seems that you cultivated. In the cloud of dust, the dragon also came out and said with a smile. It was the tail of the 3 tails just now, indicating that Shangrin has mastered the borrowing of the tailed beast chakra. It's not bad. But then, when he saw the scene in front of him, Long was also stunned for a moment, and then the old face turned red. I saw a small hot spring in the middle of the yard. The 3 women were indeed there, but they were soaking in the hot spring. Long also knows that the country of soup is famous for its hot springs, but he doesn't know that there are even hot springs in the courtyard where he lives. Dragon 2. At this time, when she saw that it was Long Yi, the excited Shangrin cheered, jumped out of the hot spring, and rushed up. For a moment, and his heartbeat exceeded 800 beats per minute. I want a hug too. Immediately afterwards, Fu, who was too cheerful, also jumped out of the hot spring and rushed up. Soaking in the hot spring for a long time, or the picture is too exciting. But she seems to have forgotten that the water of the hot spring is crystal clear. Early morning of the next day, after a night's rest, Long Yi and his party of 4 left Tangren village. And after this night, the relationship between the 4 of them became intimate. Long Yi, where are we going? Go to see. Although Tang Nin village is hidden, it has been a little too long, so it must be changed. After some thought, Long also chose a one-person island in the sea. Overseas island, even Akatsuki, is difficult without a cable. And, if nothing else, the place where Naruto and Kurabi hid was also at sea, a small island on the back of a gigantic sea turtle. In this way, once Naruto encounters an attack, the dragon can also rush to increase the number in time. Tang Nin village is right next to the sea. The 4 of them made a makeover and arrived at the port, then bought a small boat and drove them out to sea. Way was calm, and after a few days, we successfully reached the isolated island selected by Long Yi. This is such a great place. The azure waters and the delicate sandy beaches made the 3 girls excited for a while. It would have been better without those 2 women. But when he saw Fu and Yuki again, Shangrin's face was full of unhappiness again. Thinking about it and even getting a little crazy, in this environment, it would be great if she and the dragon were alone. Dragon is also a dragon. Let's play. At this time, Fu led Long Yi with excitement on his face. Pile sand, swim, or play ball. Damn. Seeing this, Shangrin became more and more annoyed, and 3 tails appeared behind him. Sunshine is really nice. I don't know where I found a reclining chair, and I don't know when I changed into my swimsuit and started enjoying the sun. Seeing the appearance of the 3 of them, Long was also speechless for a while, then with a serious expression, he said to the 3 women. We're not here to play. Uchiha Madara has declared war on the world. Immediately afterwards, Long Yi told the 3 daughters everything that happened at the 5 Shadows conference. After listening, the 3 girls all had serious expressions. After all, the key to this war is the tailed beast in their bodies. And the enemy they have to face is the legendary Uchiha Madara. Yuki, sorry, I didn't tell you the news until I went to the island. Long also looked at Yumu Ren and said sincerely. If you want to return to Union now, I will not stop you. Is that so? Why don't you tell me the truth before you go to sea? The wooden man smiled and dismantled Long Yi directly. You didn't want me to leave in the first place, did you, sly bad guy? Oh, as expected of Yunyin's Yuki, I really can't hide it from you. Long also deliberately pretended to be helpless, then smiled and looked at Yuki. Then will you leave me? If you don't want me to leave. Yumu Ren paused, then suddenly pointed to Shangrin and Fu. It's better to treat me than the 2 of them together. Damn, you bastard woman. Yuki is too cunning. Hearing this, Shangrin and Fu stopped working, one was full of anger and the other yelled. Good. Nodded without hesitation. This dragon also. Long also agreed. Shangrin was instantly dumbfounded and slumped on the beach, while Fu held her mouth full of grievances. The wooden man smiled and said nothing. What I just said was actually just a joke. Reason why she didn't leave was because she felt that it was safer to be by Long Yi's side than Yunyin. Although she didn't know why she felt this way, she believed in her intuition as a woman. In addition to this, there is another reason that eggs cannot be put in one basket. Since the 8 tails and the 9 tails are already under the protection of the 5 great powers at the same time, then she doesn't need to go anymore. If that's the case, let's start practicing. After the negotiation, Long also looked at the 3 girls with a serious expression. After all, the war has already begun. In that case, the 3 girls looked at Long Yi with the same serious expression, and then suddenly cheered and rushed forward. Then let's play. After all, it's already at the beach. Long Yi, who was instantly thrown down by the 3 girls, couldn't help rolling his eyes, and shook his head with a helpless smile. No way, let's indulge for a day. After all, the war has already begun, and no one can guarantee that there will be such happy days in the future. 087. Research and development of new techniques. As for the human pillar force, using the power of the tailed beast, it is roughly divided into three forms. The first form, borrowing chakra. Remain in human form, but the tail of the tailed beast will appear behind you. The second form, half-tailed beast. Still in human form, but wrapped in dark red-tailed beast chakra, the tailed beast coat has the ability to launch small-tailed beast jade. The third form, completely tailed beast. That is, it is completely transformed into a tailed beast, and the combination of a powerful physique and a huge chakra, at every turn. A landslide. Before following Long Yi, Yumu had already cultivated to the third form. Now continue to work hard, and strive to achieve perfect control of the tailed beast. Fu was originally in the first form, and after being guided by the wooden man, he has entered the second form and is working towards the third form. It is worth mentioning that Shang Ren, who has just become Ren Zuli, with her swirling bloodline, has made rapid progress, has already caught up with Fu, entered the second form, and began to charge towards the third form. Sitting on a tall reef, looking at the 3 women who were practicing tailed beasts on the beach in the distance, Long couldn't help but ponder. Judging from the current situation, once the Ninja World War really begins, it is likely to be a battlefield where tailed beasts are raging. After all, Obito's support right now is only those 4 tailed beasts. In this way, how can the dragon who is not a human pillar force compete with it? Even if he has the system and the skills after 84 enhancements, under the power of the tailed beast, he can't help but look a little weak. Immortal. Long Yi has actually been thinking about this issue for a long time, and after thinking about it, what he can rely on and should continue to develop is immortal art. After all, in the middle and late stages of the original work, those who can hurt Shui Obito and Lu Daoban are also only magic and physique. Shows the special and powerful magic of fairy magic. Immortality is a kind of power generated after absorbing natural energy and merging with chakra in the body. But because of the 1 limit, how much natural energy can be absorbed depends entirely on the number of chakras. Even dragons, with a huge number of chakras, are far from being comparable to tailed beasts. In this way, the immortal chakra that can be condensed is extremely limited. The lack of numbers ultimately limits its power. Natural energy. If you want to compete with the tailed beast, you must break the entire limit and absorb more natural energy. After all, no matter how many chakras a tailed beast has, it can't be compared with heaven and earth. Absorbing natural energy, and cultivating chakra by oneself, this gap is like a cultivator, a martial arts practice, not a dimension at all. Thinking of this, Long couldn't help but get excited for a while, but then his brows were wrinkled again. It's easy to say, but so hard to do. From the Warring States period to the present, many have learned the immortal mode from the 3 holy places, but no one has ever broken through the 1 this limitation, including the first generation of the so-called god of ninjas. Alas! After frowning for a while, Long couldn't help but sigh. Actually, from a long time ago, have this idea. But how to practice cultivation has been unclear. If he spends his whole life, or gives him 10 or 20 years, with his powerful, super brain, he may be able to study it. But now, with the war at hand, he had no time at all. Speaking of which, since he came to this world, what the dragon has always lacked the most is time. There was no other way, but this exciting idea had to be temporarily abandoned, and other methods of gaining power had to be sought instead. Tailed Beast. Immediately afterwards, Long Yi's gaze turned to the three girls on the beach again. The answer to the power of the tailed beasts is actually very simple, that is, the tailed beasts themselves. Obito has 4 tailed beasts, and there are also 3 dragons. Then the next question is, how can he, who is not the Manzuli, also use the power of the tailed beast? The dragon also remembers that in the original book, Naruto often distributes the 9-tailed chakra to others. Can the dragon let the 3 women give him their tailed beast chakra? They should be willing. Speaking of which, since he came to this world, all the dragon has thought about is how to become stronger. And in order to become stronger, he can often keep lowering the lower limit. For example, deliberately befriending Naruto, from the Book of Seals to Jiraiya, one after another rubbing against him for a ride. Example, save, please the 3 generations of Hokage, and hold this thigh firmly. Another example is the 3 daughters, who took the Chunin exam and rescued Shangrin in front of Sasuke, and Long tried to subdue her again. And a few days ago in Tangren village, he was close to the 3 daughters, also in order to make the relationship between them more intimate, so he willingly lent him the tailed beast chakra. At this point, Long also admitted that he is a bastard, a scumbag. However, in order to become stronger, he doesn't care. Yin and Yang escape. For a moment, Long also took out something from his pocket. As far as Long also knows, these black rods are actually made with the ability of the Eye of Reincarnation, through the escape of Yin and Yang, and have the function of transmitting chakra. It is with this black stick that Nagato can remotely control Pen's 6 paths. Long couldn't help thinking, if he and the 3 daughters had such black sticks inserted into them, whether it is possible to transmit the tailed beast chakra in the 3 women's body into his body needs to know that this black stick hosts the power of outsiders, and it can also suppress the will of the tailed beast. Fairy mode. Thinking of this, the dragon also gave a light drink and directly entered the fairy mode. Even if both sides insert the black stick, it is only to enhance the induction. There are still many problems in how to transmit the tailed beast chakra in the air. And the immortal mode is the way to solve these problems. After all, the immortal mode is a way to draw abilities from the outside world. Blood of Chi. Immortal mode. After trying for a while, the dragon's face sank, and he entered the next state. Coupled with his self-created chi and blood flow, he can completely control the chi of the whole body. Should work. In this mode, with the control of chi, which is energy, and the perception of the black stick, the dragon is also confident to move the 3 women's tailed beast chakra through the air. Of course, how to operate it requires research and experimentation. Just when Long Yi started researching and developing new techniques, the 5 major countries also started to take action. The first is the deployment of various forces, resource allocation, and active preparation for war. At the same time, Konoha sent the calmed Naruto to Union in secret, accompanied by Akai, Yamato and others. Together with the Karabi you just found, send them to the hiding place, Turtle Island. In order to prevent the attack of Obito, in addition to the elite ninjas on the island, Tsuchikage Onoki is also secretly protecting. Philo reminds you. Read 3 Things Collection. 088. Art as Explosion. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it's more than a month away. The humming seaside reef, Long Yi, who had turned on the chi and blood immortal mode, the colorless and transparent airflow that had wrapped around his body had turned into an uncomfortable dark red, and was flickering violently, the shape of which was like a blooming thorn. At the same time, on the other side of the island, the 3-tailed chakra is continuously overflowing from Shangrin. Success. Feeling the continuous huge chakra, Long was also excited. After more than a month of hard work, he finally succeeded. With the black sticks inserted into him and Ren Zuli respectively, within 10 kilometers, as long as Renzuli is willing, he can borrow chakra at will. That is to say, dragons who are not human pillars can also use the power of tailed beasts. Of course, compared with real human pillars, there are still some differences. Just borrowing chakra, the dragon can't be transformed into a tail beast, nor can it release the tail beast jade. After the test was successful, the dragon also let out a sigh of relief and returned to his normal state. Although it has been successful so far, it is only the first step. How to increase the transmission distance of the tailed beast chakra, and borrow 2 or even more chakras of the tailed beast at the same time, are the directions to be studied next. Just as Long was thinking about it, he suddenly sensed that a slug was calling him. Did something happen, psychic? Long Yi frowned, and directly channeled a slug clone the size of a palm. Lord Dragon. After seeing Long Yi, the little slug's face was full of anxiety. Not good. What happened? Shall grab the 8 tails and the 9 tails. Quote. Long's expression changed instantly. How could this be? According to the original speculation, Xiao may secretly hide Chen Kang and find Ren Zuli's hiding place. But Long has already reminded Tsunade, and the 5 shadows are also prepared. How could such a thing happen? Lord Long Yi, your support is urgently needed now. Let's walk as we go. Good. The dragon also nodded, put the slug on his neck, and left the island. As for Shangren 3, the situation is unclear now, and Long will not let them show up easily. After all, if the 8 tails and the 9 tails have already been captured, then they are the only hope left. It's Kurikan's rebellious ninja Persimmon. While the dragon was on his way, the little slug explained the situation. Similar to the original book, the ghost shark cheats to death and hides in the shark muscle. Kurabi took the shark muscle as a trophy and brought it to Turtle Island, where they were hiding. Naruto learns to use the 9 tails chakra. Perceiving maliciousness, he discovered the ghost shark that was hiding and sneaking in. Ghost shark has good strength, but after all, it is not the opponent of Emperor Kai, and in the end, it is for the sake of killing. Was supposed to be a near miss, but Obito didn't know what to use to locate the ghost shark and found Turtle Island. Even if Obito finds it, it doesn't matter. After all, the guardian force of Turtle Island is extremely strong. However, beyond everyone's expectations, in addition to Obito, there are several powerful enemies. They are Iwagakure Rebel Deidara, Konoha Rebellion Orochimaru and his subordinates, Konoha Rebellion Uchiha Sasuke and his subordinates. Orochimaru. Hearing this news, Long Yi frowned again. Since the destruction of Yinan village, Orochimaru and Toho have disappeared. Unexpectedly, it suddenly appeared at this time, which is the situation that Long Yi didn't want to see the most. Orochimaru itself is nothing. What makes the dragon also care is that the reincarnated army in the hands of Orochimaru. Orochimaru and Obito have joined forces, just like the 4th Ninja War in the original book, and it has already taken shape. Deidara, Orochimaru, Sasuke. Orochimaru wants to take Sasuke's body, Deidara wants to kill Orochimaru. And Sasuke, after killing Konoha's senior high-level, Akatsuki has no value for him. These people with extreme personalities, eccentricities, and complicated relationships, Obito was able to bring them together. Long couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the mastermind behind the scenes, there are really some tricks. East. Good. At this time, under the guidance of the little slug, the dragon also hurried with all his strength. Akatsuki's lineup is strong, but the coalition is not weak at all. In addition to Akai, Yamato, Kuroto, Kitu, these elite Junin, there are also Onogi and Terumi Mei. Besides, the 8-tailed Kurabi and 9-tailed Naruto, the 2 of them were also powerful in combat. Although Kurabi and Naruto were captured by Akatsuki's surprise attack, Akatsuki's members were also injured, and the coalition forces were chasing after them to recapture Kurabi and Naruto. You said just now that Madara Uchiha is also in this raid. Yes, Lord Longyi. Quote. After getting a positive answer, Long couldn't help but frown again. Even if injured, Obito can still activate Kamui, bring everyone into the Kamui space, and then move in space. But now, a group of them are carrying Kurabi, and Naruto is running around. That's not right. Long also has a solemn expression. There must be some conspiracy, even a trap. In fact, Toying and the others also know that this is probably a trap. But 8 Tails and 9 Tails are very important. They have no choice. Even if it is a trap, they have to jump into it. Just ahead. While Long Yi was thinking about it, he was about to catch up with the coalition troops. Everyone chased them all the way to a deserted island. Akatsuki and the others, who had fled with all their strength, suddenly dispersed. Whose hands are Kurabi and Naruto? For a while. It's hard to tell. Disperse. Must not let 8 Tails and 9 Tails fall into Akatsuki's hands, and the coalition forces immediately dispersed and chased after them separately. The next moment, at the southern end of the island, Akai and other Konoha ninjas caught up with Sasuke. On the north side, Shueiying and its subordinates blocked Orochimaru. In addition, in the center of the island, Onogi and the others faced off against Deidara. Deidara, you bastard! As his once most beloved disciple, he actually betrayed the village and committed evil together with Akatsuki. Anamu's face was full of anger. Today I will kill you with my own hands. Really, Master Toying? Deidara looked at Tuying with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Oyemu couldn't help but startled. Deidara usually called him old man. Why did he suddenly use honorifics today? That's... The next moment, Onogi suddenly saw that Deidara's eyes turned out to be red-rimmed eyes. At this time, he had clearly been controlled by the Shaker. Hula. Deidara's clothes were torn off, a mouth was exposed on his chest, and he had swallowed a large amount of blasting clay. Onogi's eyes widened instantly. This is Deidara's strongest move, self-destruction. A huge explosion, covering a radius of 10 kilometers, everything will be reduced to ashes. If there is no space ninjutsu, you will definitely die. Ha ha ha. At this time, in Deidara's crazy laughter, ninjutsu has been activated. Art is explosions. 089. The earth fluid wall that saves the world. As expected, this is a trap. To seriously damage the coalition forces before the war officially begins. Therefore, after capturing the 8 Tails and 9 Tails, Obito did not teleport away immediately, but led the Earth Shadow and the Water Shadow to this small island. With the elephant turning technique, used 2 counterfeit goods to attract the attention of the coalition forces. The real Sasuke, Orochimaru and others, have been transferred to the Kamui space by Obito. After the coalition forces were dispersed, Obito controlled Deidara with a shaker and released Zero self-destruction. As Deidara's strongest ninjutsu, known as the ultimate art, the entire island will disappear in an instant. If there is no space ninjutsu, no one can escape. Besides, with the scattered coalition forces, who can predict that the trap of bringing Earth in this unexpected situation is actually very simple? 1 exchange for more, 1 Deidara, 1 for Earth Shadow, Shueiying, and many elites from the coalition. But then again, with Orochimaru's filthy reincarnation technique, even if Deidara dies, he can be summoned again, and Obito didn't even lose a single combat power. Drink. With a loud shout, Deidara used ninjutsu. I saw that his body quickly turned black and disappeared, and in a blink of an eye, only a small black ball with a human face remained. Immediately afterwards, the small black ball burst and instantly turned into a dazzling white light. It's over. As Deidara's teacher, Onogi knew the power of Zero. When he saw that this ninjutsu had been activated, he closed his eyes and felt ashes. At the same time, he blamed himself for being caught in the enemy's trap. It doesn't matter if they die, but before the war begins, the 5 shadows will sacrifice 2 of them. In addition to The loss of combat power, the blow to morale is probably even more deadly. Once you lose morale, you lose half of it first. But there is no way, this technique, no one can escape. 2. Done. Earth Flow Wall. Just when Onogi had given up hope, and when the other allied ninjas saw Bai Guang's dazed faces, a violent shout suddenly sounded. Boom! The next moment, with a loud noise, Zero was completely released, and a huge white light instantly engulfed everything around it. For a long while, Oyemu couldn't help being stunned. He should have died. Why does he feel as if his body is still there? Could it be because of his obsession with Yangshi, the hallucination that produced Oyemu tried to move his finger, but it seemed to be moving? How come? Onogi was surprised and opened his eyes quickly. This is... But when he saw the scene in front of him, Oyemu's face changed greatly, and the whole person was stunned on the spot. In fact, not only Oyeki, Mizu Yingzao, Konoha Sakai, Yamato, and all of the coalition forces were stunned when they looked at the scene in front of them. Just now, a mass of white light spread from the center of the island, like a lump, instantly erasing all the colors on the world. Just when the people of the coalition army were going to go with the small island, with a loud shout, an earthen wall suddenly rose up. It doesn't work on this wall alone. This huge, solid earth wall completely separated them from the white light. Finally caught up. At this time, Ryuya, who was still slapping his hands on the ground and maintaining his ninjutsu posture, could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Following the instructions of the little slug, he joined the army one step late, and then arrived at the island. And when the moment fell, Deidara was just heard shouting, "Art is exploding." Long also instantly understood what was about to happen, almost subconsciously, and immediately activated the earth flow wall. Fortunately, although Deidara's self-destruction is powerful and wide-ranging, it takes a little longer to activate. Although Long Yi started his ninjutsu late, he finally caught up. After the strengthening of the earth flow wall, not only the range has been greatly increased, but also the shape can be distorted according to Long Yi's mind. Radar Ear instantly determined the positions of all the coalition troops, and the dragon also bent the soil wall into a curve, separating all the coalition troops to the east of the island, and the self-destructing Deidara to the west. When the huge Peta star rose, the entire western half of the island instantly turned into dust. On the east side separated by the earth flow wall, it was not affected in the slightest. Although the power of Deidara's self-destruction is strong, in the final analysis, it is still an explosion shock, which cannot shake the 864-time enhanced soil wall of Long Yi. Who is it? After a long while, the white light dissipated, Onogi, Terumi Mei, and the others returned to their senses, looking at the indestructible earth wall in front of them, all looking at a loss. Dragon. It's a dragon. Compared to other villages, Konoha's ninjas had already seen Ryuya's soil wall once when pain invaded. Although the shape is different this time, it is indeed a dirt wall. And can activate such a large scale, such a solid earth wall, who else can be except Longya, Takagi Longya. After a while, everyone gathered again. When they saw Long Yi, they learned that it was his ninjutsu. The ninjas of Yenian and Karayan were full of surprises again. Well done, young man. Onogi looked at Ryuya, admiring him. This time, you not only saved our lives, but also the coalition forces and the world. You must know that the people present at this time are all the elites of the villages, top combat power, and 2 shadows. If they all die here and the coalition is severely damaged, then it is very likely to lose the war and lose the world. Therefore, although Onogi's remarks are a bit exaggerated, they are not without basis. Takagi Ryu also. Terumi Mei also looked at Ryuya, her face gloomy and uncertain. The feud of the chrysanthemum is undeniable, and she will not forget it. If it wasn't for Madara Uchiha's appearance, everyone needed to unite to the outside world, she would definitely kill this hateful boy. But today, Ryuya saved her and the coalition. Terumi Mei couldn't help being a little confused, whether to take revenge or to repay her kindness, everyone, let's not worry about anything else." Long also glanced at Terumi-Mei with a guilty conscience, and said solemnly with a light cough, "Our next focus is how to rescue Kurabi and Naruto." Nice. This is the top priority, and everyone's face is serious in an instant. They have already defeated their opponents, and they are all imposters of the elephant turning technique. Deidara blew himself up and dies, Akatsuki organizes others, as well as Naruto, and Kurabi disappears. Next, Long also explained the ability of Obito. After listening to the heat, everyone frowned. According to what Long Yi said, Akatsuki at this time may have taken Renzuli anywhere. The world is so big, for a while. How to find it? Lord Dragon. Just when everyone was in a hurry, the little slug on Long Yi's neck suddenly said excitedly, "There is news from Tsunade-sama. There is news about Naruto and the others." Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened instantly. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. 090. Renju regained. The situation here, through the slug clone, Long has also notified Tsunade in time. But what I didn't expect was that Tsunade had the whereabouts of Naruto and the others immediately. Speaking of which, this was also a coincidence. Not long ago, a woman came to Konoha, claiming that she used to be a member of the Akatsuki organization, and now she has left, and is willing to provide Konoha with all the information of the Akatsuki organization. And Tsunade recognized at a glance that this woman was one of the 3 disciples who had been taken in the Land of Rain during the Second Ninja World War. Xiao Nan. Listening to the narration of the little slug, Long was also surprised. There was only one woman in the Xiao organization, and that was Xiao Nan. Pain's invasion of Konoha failed, Nagato and Konan were rescued by Obito, and there was no longer Dragon. Their news. At this time, Xiao Nan suddenly appeared and said that he had left the Xiao organization and was willing to provide Xiao's information, which really puzzled Long. After all, Akatsuki was created by her and Yahiko and Nagato, and it can be said to be the carrier of their dreams. Yahiko died in the hands of Sanshoyu Hanzo many years ago. And just half a month ago, Madara Uchiha killed Nagato and took his Samsara Eye. The current Akatsuki has long since deviated from the original intentions of Yahiko and Nagato, and has become Madara Uchiha's tool to destroy the world. Xiao was created together by us. As the only living person, I have the responsibility to destroy it with the faith of Yahiko and Nagato. At this time, as the little slug continued to narrate, Long also solved the doubts in his heart, and at the same time frowned. It seems that after Pen failed to invade Konoha, Nagato was overwhelmed by the continuous use of large-scale ninjutsu. At this time, Obito took the opportunity to capture his Samsara Eye. As far as Ryuya knows, Nagato's Samsara Eye actually originally belonged to the real Uchiha Madara. Madara gave Nagato Samsara Eye, hoped that he would activate the Samsara innate technique, and bring him back to life. And Obito, Madara's other pawn, is responsible for supervising Nagato to accomplish this mission. Everything in the world is proportional, how much you want to get, how much you have to pay. The art of reincarnation can revive the dead, but it also requires the caster's own life at the cost. At this time, Obito suddenly captured Nagato's Samsara Eye, obviously not wanting to die for Nagato. Other words, Obito has betrayed Madara. In fact, Obito in the original book did the same, and he intended to really replace Madara. But unfortunately, people are not as good as heaven, and Ban was reincarnated in the dirt. These can be left aside for the time being, because Obito killed Nagato. Xiao Nan was determined to betray, and wanted to destroy the Akatsuki organization himself, so he took the initiative to contact Konoha. The base captured Kurabi and Naruto, but if they wanted to extract the tailed beasts from their bodies, they needed to channel the golem and apply the Magic 9 Dragons Seal technique. This is not something that can be done anywhere, and requires a special base. And these years have been in preparation for this, so in many countries, large and small secretly built more than a dozen strongholds. Obito wanted to extract the 8 tails and the 9 tails, and it must be one of them. After getting this information, Tsunade notified the villages of the shadows, and then arranged rescues at distances. And there are 2 strongholds, which are closest to Long Yi and them, and they need to rush to them directly. Immediately afterwards, the little slug informed Long Yi and them about the specific locations of the 2. Then the next step is to group up and go to the rescue. Since they have to be divided into 2 teams, of course, Toying and Shuiying will each lead a team 1. And in order to seize the time, the number of each team should not be too many, 3 or 4 people, that's enough. So be it. After a few minutes, the team was done. Taking into account the ability configuration, the first team of Tsukage won, in addition to Takato, who is also good at Earth Escape Ninjutsu. There are also Konoha's Taijutsu expert Akai, and Wood Escape Ninja Yamato. First team 1 is the Black Soil, who is good at Earth Escape Ninjutsu, and the Dragon with all-round abilities. Okay. It's actually a team with Long Yi, but obviously, this is the most reasonable division method. Right now, saving people was the most important thing. Terumi-Mei glared at Ryuya, but didn't say anything more. Go. Too late, everyone did not dare to delay, and immediately rushed to the 2 strongholds. As a human pillar, once a tailed beast is drawn, it will die. And if you want to extract the tailed beast, from the new seal to the outsider golem, it will take at least 4 or 5 days to Xiaoxiao's current number. That is to say, the coalition has a maximum of 4 days, and once it exceeds 10 days, 2 people will be able to force all will be pulled out of the tail beast and die. You go first, I will bring a companion and I will catch up with you soon. After walking for a while, Long also suddenly opened his mouth and said something. Companion. Terumi-Mei was stunned. Everyone was on the island just now, and the other companions from Long Yi had not waited for her to speak, and Long also ran in the other direction. Humph. Without the permission of the captain, he acted without permission, and Terumi-Mei was displeased. But now that the time is pressing, she can't even care about fighting with the dragon. Hee hee. Kuroto glanced at Ryuya, who had left, then looked at Terumi-Mei, and couldn't help but say something with a smile. Long also seems to be afraid of Sister Shuiying. Humph. That's because he's sorry for me. Oh, I'm sorry, F.A. That's. Terumi-Mei was stagnant for a moment. She couldn't say. She was also blown up by the dragon. Then, looking at Haidu's gossip expression, he couldn't help snorting. Children, don't ask. Is that so? Who is just beginning to develop cardamom. She is addicted to the black soil of various love stories, and she can't help smiling strangely. Obviously, she has already made up a story with a completely different style of painting. At this time, the dragon also flashed one after another, returning directly to the island where Shangrin and the others were. Moving with Terumi-Mei, the dragon is also a little uncomfortable, but it is not enough to escape. The reason why he left the team was indeed to bring a helper. There are already 4 tailed beasts in Obito's hands, and this rescue operation is likely to use the power of the tailed beasts. Long Yi's new technique, borrowed from the tailed beast chakra, has a range of only 10 kilometers, so he must bring the human column force. Yumu Ren, come with me. On the way, I had already thought of a good candidate, and let Shangrin and Fu continue to practice on the island, and the dragon also directly took away Yumu Ren. The reason for bringing Yumu Ren is because she is the strongest and can better protect herself. On the other hand, Long didn't want others to know that the 7-tailed man Zuli was with him, and he didn't want to expose the identity of the 3-tailed man Zuli. Well, it's time. After explaining the situation to Yukito on the road, the 2 rushed to the base as quickly as possible. 2 days later, the 60-day period of the system has expired, and the dragon also gets another chance to strengthen it infinitely. Strengthen the monster. Without hesitation, the dragon also directly issued an order. 091. 5 enchantments. Found it. 3 days later, in the evening, Ryu also came to the stronghold, and then from the other direction, Terumi Mei and Kuroto arrived almost at the same time. "Where's your mate?" Looking around, seeing only Ryuya alone, Terumi Mei couldn't help but ask. "She has something to do temporarily and can't come." Long also said something without explanation. This kind of nonsense, let alone Terumi Mei, can't even deceive this little girl like Haitu. Obviously Long didn't want to say it, so she didn't need to ask. In short, there was no delay. Immediately afterwards, everyone turned their attention to the stronghold in front of them. It is a huge cave, but the entrance of the cave is blocked by a boulder, and there is a scroll with the word, "Sealed," on it. On the way here, through the contact with the slug, I kept getting the latest information from Tsunade. In the past 3 days, there are a total of 17 strongholds, and the coalition has searched 13 of them, but neither Naruto nor Kurabi has been found. And the one in front of me is one of the last 444, but whether it is inside or not, everyone has no idea. You'll know when you go in. At this time, the black soil opened its mouth, and then went straight to the front of the boulder. 2 done rock boxing technique. Earth done super heavy rock technique. Serious face, Kuroto used 2 ninjutsu in a row. The art of rock fist, wraps the fist with rock, like a rock fist. The super heavy rock technique increases the power of the fist more than 10 times. The black soil is to use brute force to directly smash the boulder and open the hole. I have to say that although Kuroto is a girl, and she is only 18 years old now, she is the future Tuakage's Iwagakan elite joinin. In addition to good-looking appearance, the strength is also extremely powerful. Ha! Ninjutsu bonus was completed, Haidu shouted loudly, and punched the rock without hesitation. But at the next moment, there was no scene of landslides and ground cracks, and there was basically no movement. Black soil seemed to hit the water surface, only a thin layer of ripples swayed. Sure enough. The power of the Black Earth's punch, even if it was 10 times stronger than this boulder, shattered it. Reason for this is obviously that there is an enchantment on this entrance. After all, it was a secret base that Akatsuki had carefully built, so how could it be so simple? Originally, this punch was a test. Then, everyone raised their heads and looked at the enchantment on the boulder. 5 seals. Terumi Mei opened her mouth and said a name. The so-called 5 seals of enchantment are. In 555 directions, the enchantment is connected by 5 talismans. Because it borrows the chi of the 5 directions, it is almost impossible to destroy it by external force alone. But as long as you know the details of these 5 enchantments, it is easy to crack them, as long as 5 people work together and remove the enchantment at the same time. The original work, Akatsuki's stronghold of Izui, was also protected by this kind of enchantment. But on the enchantment, another trap was set. Once the other 4 talismans are removed, a clone will appear, blocking the person who uncovered the talisman with the same ability. Beware of traps. Thinking of this, Long couldn't help but remind him. Of course I know that. Terumi Mei snorted softly, and straightened out 555 waters. Good idea. Long also smiled and nodded involuntarily. Even if there is a trap, let the clone step on it and copy the clone's ability, it doesn't matter. Immediately afterwards, the 3 of them showed their abilities. For example, Long also separated thousands of clones and quickly found the positions of the other 4 seals. After determining the location, the dragon also let the slug on his body split into 555s again, and follow the water of Terumi Mei one-on-one to use as contact. Then next, let's begin. Clone was already in place, and Terumi Mei gave the order. Hey! Under the contact of the slug, the 555 waters got together and took off the 5 seals at the same time. Quite. The barrier was lifted. Terumi Mei was about to give an order when her eyes widened and she fell directly to the ground. What happened? Seeing this, Long Yi and Heitu couldn't help being surprised. There is indeed a trap. Reluctantly sat up and frowned. Indeed a trap on the seal, but it is not a copy of the ability of the revealer, but a paralyzing toxin. The most powerful thing is that this toxin can be connected to the body through the chakra of the clone, killing the clone. At the same time, directly feedback the ontology. Next, it's up to the two of you. Although not reconciled, in a short period of time, Terumi couldn't call chakra, so he couldn't fight. Don't worry, super heavy rock technique. The black soil roared, and then punched the boulder. Boom! After losing the protection of the enchantment, with a loud noise, the boulder in front of him shattered instantly. Immediately afterwards, a dark hole was revealed. Up! Long Yi and Black Earth looked at each other, his body swayed, and he burst into the hole at the same time. Hey, I was found. Deep in the cave, a gloomy voice sounded. Immediately afterwards, I saw two people walking out. It was Orochimaru and Sasuke. Behind them, Naruto was lying on the ground, still in a coma. Found it. When the grand prize was drawn, Long also smiled. Great. At the same time, Tsunade, who learned the news through the slug, was also excited. After searching for the 14th stronghold, I finally found it. However, apart from Naruto, I didn't see Kurabi, nor Obito. Long also frowned again. Obviously, Obito took Kurabi to another stronghold. And it is very likely that Kurabi's 8 tails are being drawn at this time. And that's the truth. If it wasn't for Long Yi and the others who suddenly rushed in, Sasuke and Orochimaru would also be helping to cast the Magic 9 Dragons seal, at this time. Get back Naruto. Understood. And care so much, let's take back Naruto first. Long also gave a light drink, and rushed up with the black soil. Hey, this kid is mine. The dragon also destroyed Yinin village, and Orochimaru hated it and couldn't sleep at night. At this time, the enemy was extremely jealous when they met, and with a sneer, they directly greeted Long Yi. Sasuke didn't say a word, and went straight to Obito. Bang bang bang. The next moment, in this cave, the 4 of them will fight each other in pairs. The strength of the 4 people 4 is all shadow level, quasi-shadow level, and it is extremely dangerous just to compete in physical skills. Melting escape. Lime condensation technique. After fighting for a while, no one took advantage, and the black soil seized the opportunity and launched ninjutsu directly. Melting escape. The blood-bound boundary formed by the combination of fire and earth attribute chakra, the power is huge. I saw a piece of something like cement, sprayed from the mouth of the black earth, and poured directly on Sasuke. Phyllu reminds you, 3 things to read. 092. Sasuke's strength. With a muffled sound, the black soil's ninjutsu not only failed to trap Sasuke. Sasuke seized the opportunity and kicked her out directly. Damn. Black soil immediately got up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his face full of anger. You can't look Uchiha in the eyes, you can't fight at all. Substitution. Long also drank lightly, then dodged and rushed directly to Sasuke. Thank you little guy. Haidu smiled happily, and then stopped Orochimaru, who was entangled in the dragon and did not let go. It's still 2-on-2, but it's an exchange of opponents. As one of the 3 major pupil techniques, Sharingan has the ability of both insight and hypnosis. As long as you look at him, you are very likely to be hit by the other party's illusion. What's more, Sasuke has transplanted Itachi's eyes, opened the eternal kaleidoscope, and the pupil power is so strong that even the black soil dare not be careless. But the dragon is also different. With the ability of illusion only me, if Sasuke dares to use illusions on him, he will find his own way of death. Fire escape. Phoenix immortal fire technique. But unexpectedly, in addition to taijutsu, Sasuke sometimes uses ninjutsu to attack, but he doesn't use illusion. Dragon also has the ability of illusion only me, which has never been revealed to others. Only when he raided Yinin village and used it a few times, even Orochimaru, at most, knows that dragons have some kind of powerful illusion ability. But according to the character of Orochimaru, it is impossible to tell Sasuke such important information. In this way, Sasuke deliberately did not use illusions against the dragon, probably because the dragon also looked at him without any scruples, which aroused his vigilance. Trouble. I have to say, as an excellent ninja, Sasuke has a very strong fighting mind. Also, taijutsu and ninjutsu are very strong. With the Shaker Eye, even if you don't use illusion, you can see every tiny movement. Even if the dragon continues to use the substitute technique to move, there is no chance at all. Amaterasu. After a fight, neither side took advantage of it, Sasuke shouted, and directly used his kaleidoscope writing wheel eye ability. Long also knew the power of Amaterasu well, didn't dare to be careless, and immediately moved the substitute technique, and at the moment when Long also disappeared, a black flame with a dangerous breath appeared at his position. Flame escape. Add earth life. Amaterasu failed, Sasuke did not lose, but Sharingan immediately captured Long Yexin's position and carried out a second stage attack. Kaguto life is Sasuke's other kaleidoscope writing wheel eye ability, which can change the shape of Amaterasu's flame. With his light drink, the black flame turned into an arrow and shot at Long Yi. Damn! Long Yi, who had just appeared, changed his expression in an instant, scolded him, and hurriedly moved his avatar again. Pung! The black arrow missed again, fell to the top of the cave, attached to it, and began to burn continuously. The so-called Amaterasu means, it will never go out until the target burns out. The situation is not good. Long Yao distanced himself from Sasuke, glanced at the terrifying black flame above his head, and glanced at the black soil side. His brows could not help frowning. Although the strength of the black soil is not weak, it is compared to the big snake. It's a little worse. Right now it can only be delayed temporarily, but over time, it will definitely be defeated. In this way, if the dragon can't reach Sasuke, then 2 fights, let alone rescue Naruto, I'm afraid they will all be in danger. The kaleidoscope shaker has powerful abilities and great insight. Although Long Yi's avatar technique was constantly shifting and his physical technique was powerful, he couldn't hide it from his eyes at all. Unfortunately. Thinking of this, Long couldn't help sighing secretly. If it wasn't for the trap and Terumi May lost his combat effectiveness, this battle would not be so passive at all. There is no other way at the moment, but he can only do his best, and then Long also faced sinking, that is. A light drink. Blood fairy mode. Pung. With the change of form, the foot suddenly exerted force, and the ground was instantly smashed, like a cannonball coming out of the chamber, rushing directly to Sasuke. What is this? At the moment of the writing wheel, I saw that the blood in Long Yi's body was flowing rapidly, and there was a lot of air chakra surrounding his body, and Sasuke couldn't help but be surprised. At this time, Long also rushed to the front, and Sasuke was horrified again, so fast. Bang! The next moment, Long also punched, and Sasuke had no time to dodge, so he could only take it hard. It's heavy. A huge force struck, and Sasuke took a few steps back. After standing still, he looked at Long Yi again, and couldn't help frowning. This state, Long Yi, regardless of strength or speed, is more than 10 times more powerful than before. In this way, even if he has an insight into everything, he can clearly see Long Yi's movements, but his body may not be able to keep up. Hey. At this time, Long also smiled and rushed up again. It doesn't matter what the move is, when facing Sasuke. It's a chasing attack. Amaterasu. A while, Sasuke gave a light drink and used the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye ability again, trying to temporarily stop Ryuya. What about Amaterasu? But what Sasuke didn't expect was that Ryu also roared and still punched him. Bang! The next moment, with a muffled sound, a punch hit Sasuke in the cheek, knocking him out. Cough cough. Sasuke, who rolled from the ground a few times and then got up, spit out a mouthful of blood. Ha ha. But then, Sasuke grinned. Long Yi's punch was indeed heavy, but when he touched Amaterasu, his arm was also crippled. This is. Just when Sasuke was complacent, he suddenly saw Long Yi flick his hand, and the black flame wrapped around his arm flew out. And looking at his arm at this time, there is no damage at all. How is this possible? Surprised, Sasuke took a closer look, and only then did he understand, and he couldn't help frowning again. It was the chakra wrapped around Long Yi's body, and he used these. The chakra like an air current to isolate the sky from the sun. Sasuke. Black soil couldn't hold on for too long, the battle had to be resolved as soon as possible, and the dragon also roared and rushed up again. Ha ha, ha ha. And at this moment, Sasuke suddenly laughed wildly, and after a quick seal, he shouted loudly. Kirin. Chi. Long Yi, who was about to rush up, suddenly changed his face when he heard these two words. Boom, boom. At this moment, a huge thunder sounded overhead. Kirin, Sasuke's own ninjutsu developed by himself. In the original book, he made a stunning debut against Itachi. First, a large number of fire escape ninjutsu are smashed into the sky, causing the weather to change and gathering thunderclouds. Then the thunderbolt was changed in shape, like a blue unicorn monster, causing huge damage to the ground. But at this time, Sasuke did not inject a lot of fire ninjutsu into the sky. How did the thundercloud, broken? Quote. Long Yi was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly remembered, it seems to be a cloudy day today. As for how Sasuke caused the thunder and lightning in the cave. Looking up, I saw that the rock wall above my head had been burned through by Amaterasu, revealing a hole where the sky could be seen. It turns out that Sasuke's previous Amaterasu attack was not aimed at Ryuya, but the real purpose was to open the hole. Boom. The next moment, accompanied by the loud noise of thunder, as if you could hear the roar of the giant beast, the unicorn composed of hundreds of millions of thunder and lightning has fallen from the sky. Boom. Then, in the midst of countless thunder lights, the entire mountain collapsed instantly. Please download Feifei to read the underlined version of the novel. 093. A Mortal's Fight. Although the unicorn is ninjutsu, it is not a chakra condensation, but a thunder and lightning in nature. What Sasuke did was to guide the use of these thunder and lightning. Therefore, the power of this technique completely depends on the amount of external lightning. Before Long Yi and the others entered the cave, the sky was already gloomy. While they were fighting, the sky was already covered with dark clouds. Gathering such a huge amount of thunder and lightning together, and then pulling it down to the ground, its power is simply unimaginable. God's wrath. Outside the cave, watching the thunder of Wanjun falling, instantly smashed the mountain. Terumi Mei's eyes widened, her face full of astonishment. Wow, hula. After a while, a large white phosphorus snake crawled out from the rubble of the collapsed mountain. It was Orochimaru. Sasuke. Using the Orochimaru substitute technique to escape the catastrophe, the Orochimaru had no choice but to show the main body. The snake-like pupils became more and more gloomy and cold. Are you trying to kill me together? Yes. Another clatter, a pile of stones were knocked flying, and Sasuke, who was under the protection of Susanoo, glanced at Orochimaru indifferently. But it's a pity. Sasuke, I really want to praise you. Ha ha, you did an amazing job. Facing the undisguised Sasuke, Orochimaru not only was not angry, but laughed excitedly. Although he lost a body, he also killed Ryuya, which is very happy. After a while, Orochimaru calmed down again, looked at Sasuke and said with a smile. It's a pity, I'm afraid that the nine-tailed man Zuli, your former friend, was also killed together. Sasuke, how should you explain to Madara? That guy didn't die so easily. Sasuke snorted softly, and was about to rip through the ruins and find Naruto. Boom. At this moment, there was a loud noise, and a pile of gravel in front suddenly burst open. Both Sasuke and Orochimaru were taken aback, and their faces were instantly alert. Bah! Cough! Immediately afterwards, with a coughing sound, the dust gradually fell, revealing two figures, Ryuya and Haito. And at their feet, Naruto was lying. You are not dead. Sasuke frowned when he saw the good-looking Ryuya. Under this kind of attack, Ryuya and the others not only survived, but they were unharmed. As that, the damned Tuliubi. Orochimaru was also full of annoyance, remembering Long Yi's latest information, and gritted his teeth. Orochimaru guessed right, it was Tuliubi. When the unicorn fell, Sasuke used Susanoo to protect himself. And Long Yi also used the earth flow wall to protect him and the Black Earth and Naruto. The power of the unicorn just now was indeed huge, and the mountain collapsed and smashed down countless boulders, but unfortunately, it still couldn't break the level of ninjutsu that had been strengthened 864 times. Damn, damn, damn. Orochimaru, full of anger, let out a roar. And in the roar, his body began to change rapidly. Blink of an eye, in the terrified eyes of the Black Earth, the white-scaled serpent had turned into a huge monster 200 or 300 meters long, with 8 and 8 heads. The art of 8 tokus. Looking at the monster Orochimaru, Long also frowned slightly, and then said something to the black soil. Take Naruto back a little further. But, well. Black soil hesitated a little, then nodded. Facing the two powerful enemies who turned into monsters alone, the black soil is also full of worries about the dragon. But she understands that with her strength, it will only be a hindrance at this time. The next moment, Kuroto took Naruto and directly retreated to Terumi-Mei in the distance. Immediately afterwards, the clone of the slug that Long also summoned climbed onto Naruto and treated him immediately. Boom! At this moment, Sasuke's Susanoo is also changing rapidly. Originally just a skeleton, it quickly filled with meridians and flesh and blood. That is, from the first form to the second form. In this form, not only is the defense stronger, but also can be equipped with exclusive weapons. For example, Sasuke's Susanoo has a huge bow and arrow in his hand. Is it a big deal? Long Yi's mouth smiled, and then his face suddenly sank. The kingdom of the heavens. The Buddha came into the world. Pung! The next moment, with a muffled sound, the dragon also turned into a Buddha whose size was not inferior to Orochimaru and Sasuke, and his body was covered with gold paint. Haha, is that bluffing transformation technique again? Seeing Long Yi in this state, Orochimaru couldn't help but smile. At the previous Five Shadows conference, Long also used the technique of the kingdom of the heavens, the great Tengu gods, and turned into a huge monster, the great Tengu. But then Obito saw through it, it was just a bluffing transformation. Orochimaru already knew such important information. Go to hell. The next moment, Orochimaru let out a roar, and the 8 heads rushed towards Long Yi frantically. Boom! At the same time, driven by Sasuke, Susanoo also moved towards Ryuya, raising his huge fist. Quote. Seeing this scene, not only the black soil, but also Mizukage Terumi-Mei couldn't help but look terrified. Orochimaru, Susanoo, Golden Buddha, what kind of battle is this? Dragon also. Immediately afterwards, he was also full of worries about the dragon. After all, the other party has really transformed into a monster, and the dragon is just a transformation technique that only makes a statement. 10,000 tons of whirlwind. Just when Terumi-Mei and the others were worried, Orochimaru and Sasuke had already attacked Ryuya from left to right. And at this moment, I only heard Long Yi scream, and the huge figure suddenly jumped up and kicked directly at the two of them. Bang! The next moment, with a dull loud noise, the huge Orochi was directly lifted by 1 foot and flew out. Boom! 8 heads rolled into a ball, and after sweeping a forest, hit a hill directly. Under the huge impact, the mountain collapsed in an instant. Pung! At the same time, Susanoo, who was also kicked, was heard by the same loud noise that made his chest feel uncomfortable. Claimed to have the power of God, indestructible, with the body condensed by chakra, he was instantly kicked in half. This, who were still worried about the dragon just now, instantly widened their eyes and their faces were dull. It wasn't until after a long while that he suddenly came back to his senses, and his mouth closed in horror again. Isn't it a transformation technique? Isn't it just pretending? What the hell is going on with such a terrifying attack? Sister Mizuying. At this time, Kuroto suddenly looked at Terumi-mei and said seriously. This man, if you don't want it, give it to my little sister. Terumi-mei couldn't help but startled, then suddenly said with a smile. Then you have to think clearly, that man has a very special interest. Special interest? What special interest? You might have a chance to try it. Terumi-mei smiled meaningfully, and said nothing more. Immediately after looking at Long Yi, he couldn't help thinking, yes, which woman doesn't love a powerful man? Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 094. Chi and Blood Flow, Fairy Tale Beast Mode, Thousand-Handed Tathagata. How is this possible? In addition to Terumi-mei and Kuroto, Orochimaru and Sasuke were also full of surprise. Just now, the dragon also formed a seal, and the magic was really just a transformation. But the terrifying power just now was real. Theoretically speaking, the transformation technique is a transformation technique after all, not the hyper-doubling technique secretly passed down by the Chudao family. I understand, it's that kicking skill. To be said that Orochimaru is worthy of being the legendary Sannin, a rare genius in the ninja world, and he will understand after a little thought. It is not that the dragon also turned into a giant and possessed great power. It's his original kicking skills, that is, with such terrifying strength. After all, back then, the dragon kicked Junmalu's bones abruptly. The strength originally weighed 10,000 tons, combined with the giant body shape hundreds of meters high, the attack range was instantly expanded by 100 times. And that's how it can really hurt the huge Orochimaru and Sasuke. Haha, see what else you can do. After figuring this out, Orochimaru couldn't help laughing excitedly. Long Yi's ability is extremely strange, his own strength is ordinary, and only when he uses Konoha Whirlwind can he have such terrifying power. Case, if you can only avoid this kick, the dragon won't be able to do anything. And I have to say at this time that after incarnation of the 8-headed snake, 8 heads have 8 lives. Long Yi's kick was really heavy just now, but it only destroyed Orochimaru's head. Fire escape. The art of fireball. Orochimaru's face was full of excitement, thinking that he had seen through the details of Long Yi, and he was about to pounce on Long Yi again. And at this moment, with a loud shout, an exaggerated fireball was already flying towards him. Even Orochimaru's gigantic body of Yaki was so small, even a little pitiful, in the face of the fireball with a diameter of 1 kilometer. Boom! Just received such a heavy kick, followed by such a fireball. This is simply bullying, and Orochimaru is instantly wronged. But before he finished speaking, the fireball fell like a meteorite, and then there was a loud roar, and a huge flame engulfed him instantly. After the fireball exploded, a strong airflow swept around, and Sasuke and Susanoo also felt a huge impact. Looking at this scene, his face couldn't help but turn pale. Even if he borrows the power of nature, the unicorn that leads down does not have such terrifying power. Is this really just a fire escape? And what the dragon shouted just now, as a Uchiha clan, he has never seen such a fireball, such a fireball. My god. And Terumi-mei and Kuroto were completely dumbfounded under the impact of the strong wind. Giant beast, at every turn. This kind of shattering move, is this really a battle between mortals? At the same time, Terumi-mei suddenly thought that the dragon had stabbed her back then. But obviously, Long Yi, who didn't do his best, also let her die. Damn. At this moment, there was an angry sound, and Orochimaru, with only 444 heads left, rushed out of the flames like crazy. Although it is huge, its speed is so fast that it is so close to the dragon. Hula. Immediately after, without giving Long Yi Xuanfang a chance, he swooped at the right angle and entangled Long Yi's body. Ha ha. After entangling Long Yi, Orochimaru laughed wildly with pride. At the same time, he discovered that Long Yi, who was unable to perform his kicking skills, was really just the power of ordinary people. With the strength of an ordinary person, how could he possibly compete with his 8-kid body? Noisy. Facing the proud Orochimaru, Long Yi's expression was indifferent, then he raised his hand and punched ahead. Pung! The next moment, there was only a muffled sound, and the huge snake head was like a rotten watermelon, which exploded in an instant. This. 3 remaining heads of Orochimaru were all stunned for a moment, their faces full of disbelief. The dragon should also not have the strength to match this body, and he didn't use kicking skills, just a seemingly ordinary punch. In this case, how could he have such a powerful strength? I want you to die. Can't understand. Orochimaru's face is hideous, completely mad. Then there was a roar, leaving the last 3 snake heads to bite at Long Yi together. Clap, clap, clap. In the next moment, there was only a muffled sound, and a huge amount of chakra suddenly poured out of Long Yi's body, turning into huge palms, and firmly grasping the 3 snake heads that came up. That was strangled by its neck let out a hoarse roar while struggling desperately. He couldn't understand where the chakras with such a large number of dragons suddenly appeared. Tailed beast. At this time, Sasuke, who was standing next to him, looked at Long Yi with Sharingan, and frowned instantly. Ryuya's power is clearly the same as Naruto's. It's the kind of tailed beast. Disturbing chakra. But Ryuya is clearly not human Zuli. How can he have such a huge tailed beast chakra on him? This is. Immediately afterwards, Sharingan carefully observed. Sasuke found that the tailed beast chakra surrounding Long Yi was not released from his body, but gathered from the outside world. At this time, Long Yi, like a black hole, gathered all the tailed beast chakra from the outside world on the surface of his body, as if wearing a thick suit. But the question is, where is the tailed beast chakra from the outside world, Sasuke? You haven't shot yet. Do you want to see me killed by him? When Sasuke was thinking, Orochimaru, who could not break free, roared angrily at Sasuke. In fact, Sasuke would love to see Orochimaru killed by Ryuya. But in the current situation, if Orochimaru is really killed, with his strength alone, I am afraid that he will not be Long Yi's opponent. Own thought of this, Sasuke drove Susanoo and pulled the giant bow in his hand. Then, with the earth life, Amaterasu's black flames are condensed into arrows. Whoosh! The next moment, the bow is full of moon, and the arrow is like a shooting star. Boom! In the middle of the dragon, there is a loud noise. But unfortunately, he couldn't hurt Long Yi. I saw that the chakra around Long Yi's body also changed in shape, like a thick shield directly blocked the arrow. After being hit, the arrow spreads out and turns into a blazing black flame again. At the same time, the dragon will also be abandoned by the burning chakra, not occupying the slightest point at all. Quote. Seeing this scene, Sasuke frowned. I'm afraid it's going to be troublesome now. Go to hell. At this moment, the dragon also shouted loudly, and with a bang, Chakra's arm directly pressed Orochimaru to the ground. Immediately afterwards, thousands of such arms appeared behind Long Yi, and then fell to Orochimaru like a hurricane. Chi Blood Immortal Tailed Beast Mode Thousand-Handed Tathagata. 095. Flatten the big snake and capture Sasuke alive. Takagi Ryuya Level. Upper Ninja Organs. Ears, Brain, Heart, Lungs Skills. Spiritualism Ninjutsu Millennium Kill Enhancement plus 86 level Taijutsu Substitute Enhancement plus 86 level Ninjutsu Drawing and Slash Enhancement plus 86 level Taijutsu Toad Oil Bomb Enhancement plus level 64 Ninjutsu Konoha Whirlwind Enhancement plus level 64 Ninjutsu Clone Technique Enhancement plus level 86 Ninjutsu Force Signs Seal Enhancement plus level 64 Ninjutsu Great Fireball Technique Enhancement plus level 86 Ninjutsu Earth Flow Wall Strengthening plus level 86 Ninjutsu Transformation Skill Strengthening. Plus level 86 Ninjutsu Magical Strength Strengthening plus level 86 Ninjutsu. On the day before arriving at the stronghold, Long also got an opportunity to strengthen infinitely again, directly selected the enhanced ninjutsu magic power. Strange power is a skill that gathers a little chakra and then releases it suddenly, which can cause huge damage. Because of the different locations of concentration, there are various applications such as Sakura Chong and Painful Foot. But the most fundamental, strange power is the control of chakra. After 864 times of strengthening, the dragon's control of chakra has reached the level of nuanced. Even Tsunade can only concentrate the chakra in his fist, but cannot compress it further. But at this time, Long Yi can even concentrate the whole body of chakra on his fingertips. Just imagine, with the huge amount of chakra in Long Yi's body, compressed to such a degree and released, how terrifying the power is except. Chakra, after entering the air and blood fairy tail beast mode, like the tail beast chakra surrounded by air flow, the dragon is also controlled like an arm. In fact, the reason why dragon also learns strange powers and strengthens them without hesitation is precisely to further improve chi and blood flow. Now it turns out that his choice was wise. Chi blood immortal tailed beast mode thousand-handed Tathagata. With the dragon also shouting violently, thousands of chakra arms slam towards Orochimaru like a storm. If you just simply change the shape of the chakra, the formed arm, the strength comes from the toughness of the chakra itself, is actually extremely limited. But after the strengthening of the strange power, the dragon also strengthened the control of the chakra. At this time, each chakra arm is actually composed of the points, condensed by countless chakras. When the fist is swung, these points are released in turn, thus forming a huge impact. Just imagine, a lot of chakra condensed and released a little, the power is amazing, not to mention the superposition of countless such points. This punch, the power is terrifying. Bang bang bang. In the midst of a loud roar, thousands of cha fists fell, not only Orochimaru's body of Yaki, but even the heavy earth below it was instantly smashed. Bang. More than 1,000 fists instantly after the fight, I heard a loud bang, and a large pit with a diameter of several miles and a depth of several hundred meters suddenly appeared. Long Yi and Orochimaru, who was still holding them, fell directly. And looking at it again at this time, let alone the 3 remaining heads of Orochimaru, even his huge body has long since turned into a puddle of minced meat. Quote. Who saw this scene, widened their eyes and half opened their mouths, dumbfounded, and had completely lost their ability to think. There is only one question that keeps echoing in my heart: is this really the power of human beings? Compared to the 2 of them who were far away, Sasuke in front of him felt more intuitive, and he couldn't help but turn pale. Such a terrifying power, let alone Orochimaru's body of Yaki, even his Susanoo, I am afraid it will collapse in an instant. Thinking of this, Sasuke frowned. Then release. Susanoo, turn around and run away. The 2 of them joined forces, and they are not Ryuya's opponents. Now that Orochimaru is useless, he is the only one left. If you don't escape, don't you wait to die. Whoosh. And at the moment Sasuke turned around, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Ryuya. I saw the dragon also smiled at him, and then flew up. Quote. Exclamation mark. Quote. Sasuke's face changed greatly in an instant, and he couldn't care about anything else. He quickly supported Susanoo. But time was running out, and he didn't have time to activate his full form. Just call out a pair of ribs to protect yourself. Bang! The next moment, with a muffled sound, Ryuya kicked Susanoo in his original form. Crack! Crack! Immediately afterwards, only a small cracking sound was heard, and Susanoo's bones were instantly covered with cracks under the great strength of Long Yi. Pung! Then there was another muffled sound, like a glass, which burst directly. PFF'd. Although he blocked Ryuya's kick, Susanoo was kicked out, and a huge shock came. Sasuke's eyes widened in an instant, and he groaned, that is. A big mouthful of blood spurted out. You. Looking at Ryuya in front of him, Sasuke's face was full of unwillingness. Thump, but as soon as I uttered a word, I fell. And fell to the ground, fainting directly. Is it over? It's over. Only then did Kuroto and Terumi come back to their senses. Looking at the terrifying pit, and Sasuke's fall, I was still a little dazed. Quote. At this time, Ryuya, looking at the fallen Sasuke, his expression was extremely indifferent. As a traveler, I still liked this second male, but Sasuke shouldn't have killed his teacher. As a disciple of the third generation, he should have killed Sasuke in revenge. But the Fourth Ninja World War is about to begin, and Sasuke, as a member of Akatsuki, must have mastered a lot of information that even he, a traveler, does not know. So the dragon can't kill him either, he wants to bring him back to Konoha. After digging out the information on him, Long also believed that Konoha would give him the punishment he deserved. Unfortunately. Immediately afterwards, Long Yi looked at the big hole that he had blasted out, and sighed helplessly. Orochimaru, the incarnation of the eight-headed snake, has been smashed to pieces by him. But at this level, it cannot kill Orochimaru. Long also thought that even if the body of Orochimaru could not escape, there were other ways to revive, and then suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Mission accomplished. Retreat. No matter what, Naruto was saved in the end. Ryu also carried Sasuke and returned to Terumi and the others. Then bring Naruto, who has not woken up, and return to Konoha together. Just after Long Yi and the others rescued Naruto, the other search and rescue teams also completed the exploration of the remaining strongholds. In one of them, Kurabi was finally found. But the 8 tails in Kurabi's body have been taken away. Fortunately, the 8 tails have the ability to escape from the tail, leaving a tail in Kurabi's body. So, even if the tailed beast was taken away, Kurabi saved his life. And as a result, the battle for the recapture of the tailed beast has also come to an end. The coalition lost the 8 tails, and Akatsuki lost the ghost, Deidara, and Sasuke 3, and it was a draw. But in the overall battle situation, Shao has already controlled 5 tailed beasts, and the coalition has 4 remaining, and the advantages and disadvantages have been reversed. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. 096. The Great Ninja War. At the Five Shadows Conference, Obito declared war on the world, and the war had already begun. In the war is to collect intelligence. The dried persimmon ghost shark hides in the shark muscle sword and easily sneaks into the core of the coalition army. The hiding places of the 8 tails and 9 tails, but they also got a lot of information about the strength and deployment of the coalition forces. At the same time, the coalition forces also sent an infiltration reconnaissance team to find the enemy's base camp. And with the cooperation of the perception force, he learned that the main force of the enemy is 100,000 white fighters, as well as many powerhouses reincarnated from dirty soil. In terms of intelligence, the 2 sides are a draw. In the next raid on Turtle Island, the tailed beast was recaptured, and both sides also suffered losses. The battle is about to begin. This time Obito provoked a war in order to capture the tailed beast and implement the Eye of the Moon project. After the local battle for the tailed beasts is over, the next step is large-scale battles. On Konoha's side, Naruto is treated, and he hides behind him again to protect himself from Jiraiya. Sasuke, who was captured, was handed over to the torture department to interrogate Akatsuki's information. Immediately afterwards, the coalition forces assembled. The 5 kingdoms of ninjas, as well as the warriors of the Iron Kingdom, totaled 80,000 people. In addition to perception, medical and other logistics units, daimyo escorts, infiltration reconnaissance and other squads, they are divided into 1 to 555 large units. You are always on call. As a powerful fighting force that does not lose to the 5 shadows, Long Yi was not incorporated into any unit, but stayed in the combat headquarters as a trump card, ready to deal with various difficult situations. Go. According to the detection of the perception force, the enemy has left the base camp. And their location, close to the country of fire and the country of thunder, is likely to directly invade. Therefore, the coalition forces mobilized various units and made corresponding deployments and interceptions. And the surprise attack team led by Konkuro, as a tentative vanguard, was at the forefront of the main force. Then soon, he encountered the enemy and started to fight. Result, the Fourth Ninja World War officially started. Report to the headquarters. The enemy's route has changed, and the small countries along the country of Xiangtian and the country of Tang are marching. Changed course. As the battle begins, the intelligence unit is responsible for liaison, and various information is continuously transmitted from the battlefield back to the headquarters. What caught the command by surprise was that the enemy did not attack the land of fire and the land of thunder, but turned to the surrounding small countries. Our previous predictions were probably wrong. On the battle map, after some planning, Shikahi Sonara, the staff officer, frowned and said, "I am afraid that the enemy's target is not the 5 major countries, but the surrounding small countries." Small country. Everyone in the headquarters frowned. If this was the case, it would be troublesome. Although many small countries also have ninja villages, their strength is too low to resist Akatsuki's army. These small countries are slowly inserted between the 5 big countries. Once occupied by the enemy army, you can attack the 5 major countries at any time. Therefore, even if it is not out of human morality and purely in a strategic sense, these small countries must not be abandoned. Change your route now. After some deliberation, the headquarters issued an order for the troops to change their route and intercept the enemy troops attacking the small country. The enemy is scattered again. But just as the headquarters made adjustments, news came from the battlefield again. That were originally heading in 2 directions were once again divided into more than 20 groups, each heading towards the many small countries between the 5 major countries. Damn. After getting the information, Raikage's face was full of anger. Result, their previous deployment will probably be completely disrupted. There is no other way. Although it is not the homeland of the 5 major countries, these small countries are extremely important and must not be allowed to give Shao. So there is no way, the command can only issue the order again. Divide 1 to 5 large units into more than 20 units temporarily to block and intercept enemy troops one by one. But you must know that the original 5 major units have relatively simple personnel deployment. For example, the first troop are all ninjas who are good at ninjas and hidden weapons at medium distances. Example, the second unit is basically a melee ninja. Originally, all large-scale troops should cooperate with each other to conduct large-scale operations. Now it is simply divided into various divisions and unit operations. The ability must be single, so it is easy to be targeted by the enemy. But the military situation is urgent, 80,000 coalition troops, it is so easy to redistribute, and it can only be done at the moment. To be said that the coalition suffered a lot from this. But there is no way. Who made the initial estimation wrong, and the enemy took the initiative. Next, you can only make adjustments quickly while the battle is in progress, and the headquarters is instantly busy. How could this be? Dragon is also directly under the command, but does not participate in military planning. As the only idler, seeing the scene at this time, I couldn't help but be surprised. Long also has no research on the military, but as a traveler, he knows the plot. The original plot is not like this. In the original, Obito commanded the army, and indeed went straight to the 5 major countries. It can be said that it is the big battle. Therefore, the Fourth Ninja War, which took up a long time in the comics, actually lasted for 3 days in total. But now, although the scale and staffing of both sides are basically the same. But Obito did not go straight to the 5 major countries, but scattered his troops, obviously fighting around each small country. Tailed Beast. Long also frowned, pondered for a moment, and generally understood. The reason why it has become like this is probably because of the Tailed Beast. In the original book, Obito has collected 7 tailed beasts. But at this time, there were only 5, and the advantage over the coalition was not obvious. In strength determines the strategy of bringing soil. Small countries first, and then gradually attack the 5 major countries. It's going to be a long battle. Night, the headquarters was still busy, according to the constant information coming from the battlefield. After replanning the battle map, Shikahisa couldn't help but say something. The next development also verified Lu Ju's words. With soil is scattered to attack various small countries. The coalition forces adjusted accordingly to defend against it. However, the enemy army did not conduct large-scale battles at all, and mainly focused on harassment and destruction. Once they encounter strong resistance, they basically retreat immediately. Result, with many small countries as battlefields, the war has fallen into a stalemate. Such a flash, it is. More than a month. Judging from the enemy's current actions, it is obvious that they want to continue this protracted war. How can it be possible? As the ace, Ryuya, because it was a small-scale battle, he never had the chance to appear. He, who has been on standby, continues to study the pattern of chi and blood flow. Although after strengthening the strange power, the control of chakra has been greatly improved. But how to increase the distance of accepting the chakra of the tailed beast, and how to accept the chakra of multiple tailed beasts at the same time, are still 2 major problems. Dragon 2. This morning, just as Ryu also scratched his head, Tsunade suddenly called him to the headquarters. It's time for you to play. 097. 7 Ninja Swordsmen. War lasted for more than a month. In addition to harassment, the enemy's first important strategic intention was finally revealed, that is the giant whale island. The island is deserted and uninhabited, let alone a village country. But for the water country as an island country, the giant whale island is located between it and the land, and it is an important hub for its connection with the outside world. Moreover, the giant whale island is close to the land of fire and the land of thunder, and once it is occupied by the enemy, it is also a major threat to these 2 countries. Because of the importance of Giant Whale Island, the coalition attached great importance to it from the very beginning, and specially sent a detachment to garrison it. Just now, information came from the island that several experts from the reincarnation of the Dirty Earth attacked the Giant Whale Island, and the coalition forces suffered heavy casualties. The situation is urgent, and the Giant Whale Island cannot be lost, so I immediately found Long Yi and asked him to come to the Giant Whale Island. Ready is it? In the headquarters, Shiranui Xuanjian, and the feet were the same, the 3 of them were facing each other, forming a triangle, and asked the dragon inside. Long also nodded and took a deep breath. Let's get started. Good. The faces of the 3 suddenly became serious, and then they shouted loudly. Flying Thunder Formation Technique. 3 people 3 had served as the guards of the 4 generations of Hokage, and were taught this art. It is a powerful space ninjutsu that can instantly teleport people or objects in the formation to any place. To be said that although the Xuanjian Trio 3 did not go to the front line, by virtue of this technique, a large number of experts of the coalition forces were sent to various places, which played a huge role in the entire battle situation. Just when the dragon also teleported, the situation on the Giant Whale Island was already very critical. Of chakra covered the whole island, except Hinata who has white eyes. The vision of others is less than 1 meter. The enemy is hidden in the thick fog, like a ghost. On the coalition side, there can only be a few people in groups, back-to-back vigilant against each other. But even so, they were attacked one after another, and in a short period of time, nearly 30 people were killed. Everyone be careful, another enemy is coming. As the only Hinata who can see clearly, he took the initiative to take on the responsibility of investigation. However, the coalition forces were too scattered, and several enemies were constantly moving, making it difficult to balance them. The little girl from the Hyuga family. At the same time, the enemy also discovered Hinata, and one of them rushed forward as a priority. The opponent's strength was extremely strong, and Hinata immediately fell into a hard fight. And after losing Hinata's reminder, the coalition became more and more passive, and 4 or 5 more people were killed in a blink of an eye. What to do? Seeing that his teammates were killed one by one, but Hinata, who was entangled in him and couldn't escape, couldn't help but feel anxious for a while, trying to think of countermeasures. Ninja, needle 1,000 books. At this moment, the enemy seized the opportunity and released ninjutsu. Swish swish. I saw the enemy's thick hair, which instantly turned into 1,000 needles, and shot densely at Hinata. Not good. This technique is very fast and has a wide range. Hinata was distracted, but it was too late to avoid it after discovering it. Hinata couldn't think about anything else. You can use your limbs to protect your vitals, but under this level of attack, I am afraid it is of little significance. Noba Whirlwind. Seeing that he was about to be shot by the hedgehog, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him, shouted softly, and kicked directly at Shinbin. It turned out to be used. This man suddenly fell from the sky, which really surprised Ziguashin Pufferfish Ghost, but when he saw that the other party actually used kicking skills to resist his Shinbin, he couldn't help sneering again. Such a number of thousands of books be completely kicked out. And with his sharpness and strength, not only he couldn't kick it, but he would pierce his leg. How could it be? Just when the pufferfish was proud, his face changed drastically. I saw the opponent kicked out with a strong airflow, and his thousands of copies, like goose feathers flying, were swept away in an instant. Damn. I'm afraid it's not easy to come, the pufferfish frowned, then backed away, hiding in the thick fog again. It ran quite fast. Long Yi smiled, then turned to Hinata behind him and asked a question. It's all right. No, Long also. That Hinata came back to her senses, and when she saw that the person who came was Long Yi, she couldn't help but feel excited. Great, as long as the dragon comes, everything will be fine. Ninja sword 7 people 7 people. Here to save Hinata, Long also looked at the surrounding thick fog, and could not help frowning secretly. This technique should be the mist hidden technique. There are 7 hidden enemies in it, so it seems that it should be the 7 people of the ninja swords reincarnated from the dirty earth. 7 people with 7 ninja swords. They are the elite Shangnan of Wuyin village, specializing in performing various difficult tasks for Shuiying. It is said that they can conquer a small country overnight. The reincarnated ninja swords of 7 people are the strongest in all dynasties. Although there are no corresponding swords for the pufferfish ghost and the ghost lamp full moon, they should not be underestimated. This month, due to the enemy's only harassment, the reincarnated powerhouses rarely showed up, and the 7 ninja swordsmen and 7 people only showed up twice, but each time it caused huge damage to the coalition forces. No wonder it was said to be a strong enemy, and the coalition had to send Long Yi. Long Yi, what should I do? With the help of the thick fog, the 7 people and 7 people were still there, waiting for an opportunity to act. Hinata was so anxious that she couldn't help asking a question. Quote. The dragon didn't respond, but concentrated. Even under this thick fog, he couldn't see the enemy clearly, but with his radar ears, he could grasp everyone's movements. 2 done. Earth flow wall. After a while, Long Yi suddenly shouted violently, and slapped his hands on the ground. Boom. Immediately after, a twisted earth wall suddenly rose, directly separating the coalition army and the 7 people and 7 people on both sides. This is. Who was also not separated, couldn't help but be astonished when she saw this scene. Almost spanning the entire island, hundreds of meters high, such a large-scale earth flow wall is really shocking. The most important thing is that, in this thick fog, an earthen wall instantly separates the enemy and the enemy who are even fighting. It is so precise that it is simply breathtaking. Great. Came back to his senses, Hinata was very happy. With this earth wall isolated, the coalition forces are temporarily safe. At the same time, I can't help thinking that it is worthy of being the soil wall that protects the world. Dragon 2. But then, seeing Ryuya on the other side of the wall, facing 7 powerful enemies alone, Hinata was worried again. Then he ran up the dirt wall and wanted to help Long Yi. Although her strength is far less than that of Long Yi, she will at least not become a burden with her white eyes. What a powerful earth escape ninjutsu! At the same time, the 7 people and the 7 congregations also recovered and couldn't help but admire. At the same time, I hope that this new powerful ninja can stop them. As people who have died, whether it's Fugu and others who died fighting for Korean, or Zaibushin and others who have been betrayed, they actually don't want to participate in this war. It's just because he was manipulated by the reincarnation of the dirt, he couldn't help himself. Kill him. At this moment, the 7 people and 7 people received the order again, their will was suppressed, and they had to rush to Long Yi. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 098. Overwhelming Strength. 7 members of the 7 members of the Filthy Earth Ninja Sword, they use the beheading sword, and the Teodi, known as the Ghost Man, will not be cut again, as the focus of offense and defense. Zaibushin is good at water escape ninjutsu and assassination. At this time, 7 people and 7 people rushed to Long Yi, with his fastest speed, quietly approached behind Long Yi, and then raised the beheading sword in his hand. Dragon 2, who had just reached the top of the earthen wall, suddenly saw this scene, her face changed greatly, and she couldn't help shouting to remind her. But unfortunately, the big sword that will not be cut has already been cut. PFF'd. Then, with a muffled sound, blood splattered everywhere. Doesn't cut his face without expression, this genius ninja is too young to be able to stop him. Pung. But at this moment, the corpse of the dragon, which was cut into 2 pieces, suddenly turned into 2 pieces of wood. When turned out to be a substitute technique, and if he did not cut his face changed greatly. When was this? He was able to hide it from his eyes. And most importantly, in this thick fog, how did the other party know in advance that his sneak attack? Whoosh! And at this moment, Long Yi, who was displaced by the substitute, had already reached the back of his body. The silent killing technique of Zaibujian is indeed powerful, but it is impossible to achieve true silence. As long as he takes action, even the sound of stirring the mist can be heard clearly by the dragon. The Konoha whirlwind. The dragon also had a serious face and flew up without showing any mercy. Pung. Then, with a muffled sound, the half of the body that was not slashed was instantly kicked out. Whoa, whoa, but as a person who was reincarnated from the dirt, he would not die because of physical attacks, and his body that was kicked out began to recover quickly. Seal. But unfortunately, Long Yi's hands were already pasted before he recovered. Both hands are yin and yang, and the seal of the 4 elephants is cast. Om. With a buzzing sound, countless black lines extend from the palm of Long Yi, instantly wrapping the whole body without slashing, forming a black cocoon. Thank you. At the moment of being sealed, Zaibushin looked at Long Yi with a relieved smile. This is. At this time, Hinata couldn't help but be surprised when he saw that Long also managed to get 1 person in an instant. As expected of Long Yejin. Immediately afterwards, there was another sweet smile, and he was worthy of being the hero of Konoha. Get 1 person first, the dragon is also expressionless, and then meet the others. At this time, the fog had not dissipated, indicating that among the remaining 6 people, there were still people using the fog concealment technique. Go to hell. Just as Long also thought about it, he wanted to find the other one. Shiyirin rushed directly in front of him, shouting loudly and saying, "Slashed with a knife." Long Yi held kunai in his hand, and he wanted to block, but when he saw the opposite knife, his eyes widened instantly, and he hurried back to dodge. Boom, boom. At the next moment, after the enemy's knife fell, many detonating talismans suddenly flew out of the blade, and they exploded together in an instant. Fortunately, the dragon is also familiar with the characteristics of these 7 knives, otherwise he would have suffered a loss just now. Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of breaking through the air sounded, and another person, holding a slender long knife like a steel drill, stabbed him directly. Long knife needle can pierce everything, and the handle is tied with imperceptible steel wire, which is called a suturable blade. The holder of the blasting knife is Wujin. 8. The holder of the long knife and sewing needle, Li Hao Kushuan, known as the ruthless duo, really acted together. Whoosh! In the face of the needles, the dragon did not fight with them for a while, and a substitute shifted and disappeared directly from the place. Suddenly lost the trace of Long Yi. All 6 of them were stunned and looked around at the same time. That's you. And at this moment, with a soft drink, Long Yi's figure appeared again, behind a man without a knife in his hand. The 7 ninja swords are named after their special swords. But because the large sword Shark Muscle and the double sword Flounder are now in the hands of Karabi and Chengjuro, respectively, the corresponding users of the 7 people in the Dirty Land do not have these 2 swords. As far as Long also knows, the 2 are the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost and the Ghost Lantern Full Moon. And the Ghost Lamp Full Moon is also good at fog concealment. And seeing that his position is relatively back, the person who performed the surgery must be him. Cut. Displacement was close to the full moon. The dragon also instantly drew his sword and slashed. Wow! Under the sharp edge of the sword, Manyu's body was instantly cut in half. But unlike Zaibujian, Manmoon's severed body did not dissipate, and regathered the dust to restore it. Instead, it turned into a mass of water, and it recovered immediately after being slightly twisted. In this way, the dragon has no time to execute the seal at all. Sure enough. Seeing this scene, Long was not surprised. Ghost Lantern Moon is the elder brother of Ghost Lantern Shuiyu. They belong to the Ghost Lantern family. They possess the secret technique of hydration and are almost completely immune to physical attacks. Therefore, even if it is not the reincarnated body of the Dirty Earth, a simple slash will not hurt him. Toad Oil Bomb. Long Yi, who had known it for a long time, was only a test with the knife just now, and then with a light drink, a large amount of toad oil was sprayed directly from his mouth, instantly covering the full moon. This is the toad oil, which has been strengthened 864 times, has become extremely viscous. Even the body made of full moon water cannot get rid of it. Seal. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the dragon quickly formed the seal, then stepped forward, touched the ghost lamp full moon with both hands, and performed the seal technique again. After the level technique is sealed with the 4 images, as long as the dragon touches both hands, even Kagaya Otsutsuki can seal it. I have to say that the sealing ninja Takagi Ryu is the biggest nemesis of reincarnation. Of course, cast the seal of the 4 images, it is necessary to make complex fingerprints in advance, which is easy to detect and avoid under normal circumstances. After the ghost lamp full moon was sealed, with a gust of wind blowing, the fog covering the giant whale island quickly dissipated. You guessed it right. Seeing this, the dragon couldn't help but smile, and the other caster was indeed the full moon. And as the fog dissipated, the other 5 of the 7 members of the group, 5, also appeared in front of Long Yi. At this time, the remaining 5 people 5 looked serious, and did not immediately rush to Long Yi. After all, under the circumstances of the dense fog just now, the 7 of them had yet to build an inch, and 2 of them were sealed. Now that the thick fog has dissipated, only 5 of them are left, and I am afraid that they are not the opponents of Long Yi. Speaking of which, Ryuya, who can move as a stand-in, has a huge advantage over the 7 people of ninja swords who mainly rely on close body skills. Over here. Come on everyone. At this time, the coalition ninjas from another part of Tuliu Wall also jumped over. Without the thick fog blocking their sight, they could finally exert their normal strength. Damn Takagi Ryuya. At the same time, thousands of miles away, Orochimaru, who was operating with magic, had a gloomy face, and his snake-like pupils were full of resentment. 099. Destroy Giant Whale Island. Retreat. There is no chance of winning, and if you continue to fight, you will only fold the remaining 5 people at the Giant Whale Island. Although not reconciled, but there is no other choice. Pong, 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 pong. On the giant whale island, the coalition forces are about to rush up. 5 coffins suddenly rose from the ground, and put the pufferfish and the others inside. Then with a muffled sound, it disappeared immediately. Did you withdraw? Long also pondered a little, and couldn't help frowning. Reincarnation is actually a variant of psychics, but it just replaces psychic beasts with the souls of the dead. So, in addition to undead body, it can also be lifted at any time. Psychic, withdraw from the battlefield. I have to say, it's really tough. Was really a pity that the other 5 people could not be sealed together, but they managed to defend the giant whale island. When the battle was over, the coalition began to count the casualties and treat the wounded. Long Yejin. At this time, Hinata ran over, full of gratitude, but she didn't know how to thank her, so she suddenly bowed to Long. Thank you. If you hadn't arrived in time, I really don't know. It's hard work. Long also interrupted Hinata's words, patted her shoulder soothingly, and said softly. You've done a great job. I will work harder. Hinata tried her best to hold back her tears and nodded vigorously. 7 people of ninja swords in the thick fog. Hinata was not afraid. Even if he died on the battlefield, it was just his fate as a ninja. What really saddened her was the sense of powerlessness that she felt helpless when her teammates were killed one by one. And just when she was almost desperate, the dragon also appeared. At this time, she couldn't help but remember that at the ninja school, the dragon was also the tail of the crane. But now, it has become such a reliable partner. And in this, how much he had to put in efforts. It was just thinking of this that Hinata said, I will work harder, but she still didn't say a word. Work hard like Long Yi-kun. You evacuate from Giant Whale Island. Just as Hinata's thoughts were racing, Long also looked around and suddenly said something. Evacuation. Hinata couldn't help but stunned. Their mission was to garrison Giant Whale Island. How could they just evacuate? I'm here to communicate with the headquarters. Immediately afterwards, the dragon also concentrated and began to call the headquarters. The intelligence department of the coalition forces is headed by the head of the Konoha mountain family, Kaiichi Yamanaka. He is proficient in the art of turning the heart, and can communicate with any coalition ninja on the battlefield through the huge augmentation device. It is precisely by virtue of his powerful ability that the intelligence of the battlefield is quickly handed over to the headquarters, and orders are issued from the headquarters to the coalition forces. At this time, the dragon also concentrated his mind, that is. Kaiichi Yamanaka. I see. After getting in touch, Long Ya will say it again, and Yamanaka Kaiichi immediately informs the headquarters. After a while, the command issued an order to let Hinata and others withdraw from the Giant Whale Island. Yes. Now that the headquarters has ordered, Hinata and the others naturally did not hesitate at all. Immediately afterwards, after the initial treatment of the wounded, they carried the bodies of the sacrificial ninjas, and everyone boarded the boat and returned to land. Dragon also. As the boat gradually moved away from the Giant Whale Island, Hinata couldn't help but look back. At this time, there is only one dragon left on the island. Does he want to be stationed on the Giant Whale Island alone? That is. At this moment, a dazzling red light lit up, and suddenly a huge fireball appeared in the air. Then, fireballs appeared one after another, like meteorites falling from the sky, whistling and landing on the Giant Whale Island. Boom, boom, boom. At the next moment, dozens of fireballs fell almost indiscriminately to all parts of the Giant Whale Island, and then in the sky of the fire, there was a deafening loud noise. Wow. Phew. Although it has been away from the island, but the impact of the explosion, the strong winds and waves, violently shook the coalition ships. What happened? What the hell is that? Standing on the deck, watching this scene like a natural disaster, everyone in the coalition army was full of horror. That's Long Yejin's technique. Hinata has recovered, and she can't help but smile with a hint of pride. At the same time, She instantly understood that the dragon also asked them to evacuate, not to stand alone, but to directly destroy the giant whale island. Since this small island is so important, it is better to destroy it instead of. Always beware of enemy occupation. In fact, this method is very simple, but it is easy to destroy an island. This is simply the ability of God, and ordinary people would dare to think, it's done. After releasing dozens of nuclear fireballs one after another, Long Yi, who moved to the distant sea, couldn't help but smile when he looked at the small island that had been smashed and sunk. The mission is completed, and then returned to the coalition headquarters. And just on the way Long Yi went back, he suddenly got two pieces of news. First, Sasuke escapes. After Sasuke was taken back to Konoha by Ryuya, he handed it over to the torture department, hoping to learn more information from him. But unfortunately, Sasuke, who is an elite ninja and has a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, is not easy to deal with, so after so long, no information has been asked. And just this morning, because of the guard's momentary negligence, or underestimated the power of Sasuke's kaleidoscope shaker, he escaped from prison successfully. Sasuke escaped. Not only could he no longer interrogate Akatsuki's intelligence. Moreover, Akatsuki added another general, which was really bad news for the coalition forces. Second, the Black absolutely attacked the daimyo. As the leader of various countries, the daimyo was taken to the hideout at the beginning of the war, and was protected by the escort team led by Mizukage Terumime himself. Although the hideout was extremely secret, Akatsuki discovered it and attacked it. Fortunately, the guards took proper precautions and repulsed the enemy in time, and the daimyo were not harmed. Invasion of the giant whale island and the attack on the daimyo were carried out one after the other. Headquarters analyzed that the invasion of giant whale island this time seemed to be the capture of a strategic location. In fact, it was to attract the attention of the coalition forces and distract the coalition forces, so as to prepare for the attack on the daimyo. I have to say, Akatsuki's hand is really beautiful. And the reason why it didn't work is because the coalition forces also have a secret weapon, Long Yi, and they didn't dispatch a escort team to help Giant Whale Island. Coercion. As for why Akatsuki attacked daimyo, in addition to creating panic, the biggest reason is probably that he wanted to hold daimyo hostage and force the 5 major villages to hand over the tailed beast. As the war progressed, Akatsuki's conspiracy began to surface gradually. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. 100. The Conspiracy of War. It's been more than half a month, and the war is still going on. Compared with the first month, the enemy's offensive was obviously much more ferocious, and more experts were invested in reincarnation. The original simple harassment has also turned into a competition for some areas. More than 100 battles, big and small, both sides have their own winners and losers, and the losses are basically the same. Can't go on like this anymore. But in fact, the current situation is very unfavorable for the coalition forces. First, materials. The enemy's army is composed of Baiju and the reincarnated strongmen from the dirty earth, not normal human beings. No food, no clothes, basically no material needs. The 80,000-strong coalition army was all ordinary people, not only consuming food and medicine, but also needing to be equipped with a large number of ninja tools. War has been fought, the consumption of materials has exceeded expectations by more than 10 times. After all, at the beginning, everyone thought that this was a war that would end soon. Continuing to mobilize materials from China, the burden on the 5 major countries is also getting heavier. Of the 5 major countries or ordinary civilians, there were more and more complaints. Second, the military. Even if it was only a small-scale battle, but fighting at multiple points at the same time, in the past 2 months, the coalition casualties have reached nearly 20,000. On the enemy's side, Baiju's losses have exceeded 30,000. But the powerhouses reincarnated from the dirty earth actually have very few attritions. After all, it is not easy for them, who have immortal bodies and can evacuate at any time, to seal them. In this way, if the fighting continues like this, the coalition forces will gradually become weaker in terms of strength. The third, and most important issue, fishing reels. Except for the complaints from the 5 major countries because of the burden of military spending. Those small countries that became the main battlefield, suffered the flames of war, and turned into hell on earth, are the real grievances. Thanks to Akatsuki's deliberate dissemination, people all over the world already know the cause of this war. Watching their homes being destroyed, their relatives and friends dying, and the living starving and frightened. People can't help thinking that instead of suffering in the war, it is better to enter the world of infinite monthly reading and live a happy life. Therefore, more and more people are speaking out, asking the 5 major countries to hand over the tailed beast and stop the war. As for the infinite moon reading is an illusory world, so what, compared to war, it is a paradise. Damn it, this is Uchiha Madara's true purpose. There are more and more voices criticizing the coalition forces from the outside world, and even the people of many small countries have begun to defect and help Shao fight against the coalition forces. Under this circumstance, the situation of the coalition forces has become more and more difficult. And I'm afraid, this is Akatsuki's real purpose. This protracted battle is not to destroy the coalition forces in order to capture the tailed beast. To drag the whole world into the quagmire of war and make everyone feel the pain. Because as long as you feel the pain, you will escape, and you will agree with the Eye of the Moon project. It's not difficult to predict that over time, people all over the world will stand on Akatsuki's side, and the identities of good and evil will be reversed. If that time comes, even if the coalition has powerful force, it will have to surrender the tailed beast. This war must end as soon as possible. Headquarters held several emergency meetings, and the final result was one. Only by ending the war as soon as possible can Akatsuki's conspiracy succeed. However, the enemy does not fight decisively with the coalition forces. If the speed continues, the battle will be fought for at least a few years. For a time, the coalition was in the most difficult situation. Dragon also. The night, Long had already rested, and was suddenly called to the headquarters. After arriving, I saw that there were only 4 people in Nuoda's headquarters, Reikage I, Hokage Tsunade, Tsuchikage Onoki, and Kokage, the combat staff. The 4 people looked very serious, obviously there was something important. Found Orochimaru. Without waiting for Dragon to ask, Tsunade spoke directly. Great. Hearing this news, Long also couldn't help feeling excited. To solve the current predicament of the coalition forces, there is actually another way, that is to destroy the leader of the enemy army, Uchiha Obito. But since the beginning of the war, Obito has completely disappeared. Moreover, with the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye with soil, you can pull yourself into the Shinwei space at any time. Hard to attack him, let alone kill him. Even if Obito is killed before he moves, Obito can still be resurrected by casting the strongest illusion, Izanagi, at the cost of a shackle. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to kill Obito. In addition to Obito, there is actually another key person, that is Orochimaru. As long as Orochimaru unlocks the reincarnation of the filth, and Obito only relies on Baiju's army, and is not an opponent of the coalition forces at all, this war will be possible. End soon. But like Obito, Orochimaru has disappeared since the war began. But at this time, Tsunade suddenly said that he found Orochimaru. Do you want me to go? In addition to being excited, Long also understood in an instant. The purpose of calling him this time is probably to deal with Orochimaru. Not bad. Tsunade nodded, his expression extremely solemn. We can only leave it to you. Orochimaru has shadow-level strength, but at this time of war, the 5 shadows are all shouldering heavy responsibilities and can't just leave. As for Jiraiya, he was still taking care of Naruto at this time. Therefore, only Long Yi can be used to deal with Orochimaru. Leave it to me. Long also understood this, and nodded directly. The strength of the reincarnated army is self-evident, and Orochimaru is. the key to solving this problem. Although I don't know how the coalition forces learned of Orochimaru's whereabouts, it must have been very difficult, and even paid a great price. The most important thing is that with Orochimaru's vigilance, if it doesn't succeed once, I'm afraid there won't be another chance. In other words, there is no room for failure this time. Remember, don't kill him. Take him alive. After giving the order, Tsunade explained again. A reincarnation from the dirty earth will not be unlocked by the death of the caster. Therefore, the only way to catch Orochimaru is to force him to unlock the surgery. To be said that this makes the task a lot more difficult. Understood. Long also nodded, his eyes firm. Immediately afterwards, Long also went back to prepare, and an hour later, he returned to the headquarters again. At this time, in addition to Ryuya, there are Sakura, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, Shino, Ya, Hinata, and Tiantian 8. They were dispatched from various battlefields urgently, and they will follow Long Yi to cooperate with him in this operation. 9 people, what a headache. After this time, I'm afraid I will be in bed for a few days. The 3 of them, Shiranui Xuanjian, have already prepared the technique of flying thunder formation, and they can only teleport 1 person at a time, that is, they have to teleport 9 times in a row. Although they complained verbally, their eyes were extraordinarily firm. Let's go. All the personnel have arrived, Tsunade said with a serious expression and said loudly. I wish you a triumphant return.